Chapter 70. Beat. Detecting a large amount of life energy. Initial calculation, 200,000 summoning points. Do you wish to exchange for summoning points? This was already the third time the system notification rang in Wu Yan's ears. Normally Wu Yan would be emotionless, but at this moment, it was no different from the sound of nature. However, this sound of nature kept ringing in Wu Yan's ears without the slightest bit of impatience. Even Wu Yan's soul couldn't be pulled back. Maintaining the state of bumping into a ghost, Wu Yan's eyes almost rolled back. Obviously, this huge meat pie had smashed Wu Yan into a muddle-headed state. He couldn't react at all. 200,000 summoning points, what kind of concept is that? Let's not talk about pretty girls first. Although to Wu Yan, that's the most important thing, Mikoto's summoning points were 70,000. The Mikoto summoned with 70,000 summoning points was at level 68, and now she's at level 69. Peak of the 7th rank, almost reaching the 8th rank. Then, if he used all 200,000 summoning points to summon a girl, then the girl he could summon would be heaven-defying. Although Wu Yan had already decided on the next person he could summon in his heart, and she didn't need 200,000 summoning points, but it was still more than Mikoto. That means she's stronger than Mikoto. Stronger than Mikoto, she's definitely at the 8th rank. Originally, Wu Yan was still planning to go to the Mercenary Union to get some missions. After all, the missions given by the Mercenary Union and the missions given by the system were synchronized. Plus, he wanted to dig out a monster's nest and earn summoning points to summon this girl. But now, he didn't need to earn those points himself. The summoning points came just like that. 200,000 summoning points. To summon the girl he wanted to summon, that's definitely more than enough. 100,000 gold coins, just 100,000 gold coins in exchange for such a large amount of summoning points. At this moment, Wu Yan couldn't wait to auction off the rest of his gold coins. As long as there's a second piece, Wu Yan wouldn't hesitate to use all of his gold coins to exchange for it. After a while, Wu Yan woke up from his mental state. A strong sense of joy swept through Wu Yan's heart. Ignoring Shoujo and the other two girls who were looking at him strangely, Wu Yan slowly began to dance. A dance that Shoujo and the other two girls had never seen before. Wu performed an extremely ugly dance that Wu Yan and the other two girls had never seen before. Hinajuku, Mikoto, and Liren looked at each other and then they looked at Wu Yan, who's doing Yataki step. Is this guy's brain damaged? Shoujo started to seriously doubt herself. Was it really the right choice for her to abandon her parents, sister, and friends to be with this retarded guy? Mikoto covered her eyes. Yes, she couldn't bear to watch anymore. So embarrassing. Luckily there's no one else here. If this guy didn't get his ability directly because of me, I would think that he's probably damaged his brain while developing his ability, hee. Liren giggled as she watched Wu Yan's retarded dance. She didn't seem to feel anything wrong, if you ignore the large drops of sweat that slid down her forehead. As for Wu Yan, he finally noticed Shoujo and Mikoto's disdain. His ugly dance froze. Under the gaze of the three pairs of beautiful eyes, he slowly stopped. Ahem. After a fake cough, Wu Yan's face became serious as if nothing happened. He smiled brightly and said, "Yes, there was a reason just now. I believe you guys can understand me." "No. We can't understand your behavior at all." Shoujo and Mikoto didn't even think and said this sentence. What a joke. If we said we understand, then wouldn't it mean that our intelligence is on the same level as this retarded guy? Wu Yan couldn't refute this. He could only stammer, "Yes. I'm too happy. I believe if you guys were me, you'd do the same." "No. We would never do the same thing as you, Oniai-chan." This time, even Liren followed Shoujo and Mikoto, and said something slightly different. Wu Yan's face became embarrassed. Even with his face that couldn't be pierced by a mythical armament, he felt a little ashamed. Haha. Seeing Wu Yan's embarrassed expression, the three girls couldn't help but laugh. Wu Yen could only laugh along. Wu Yen knew that at this moment, the corner of his mouth was no longer something he could control. Okay, I won't laugh at you. Until Wu Yen was about to run away, Shoujo took the lead to stop laughing. She said seriously, although her eyes couldn't hide the smile. Well, Yen, let's talk about business. Mikoto patted her stomach that was a little painful from laughing. She smiled at Wu Yen. She can't compare to Shoujo, but she still couldn't help but want to laugh. Business? Wu Yen, who was thinking about whether to exchange for a sound blocking ability, was stunned by Mikoto's question. He was a little confused. What business? Wu Yen asked in a small voice. Don't tell me your brain is really damaged? Shoujo looked at him with disdain and sighed helplessly. Wu Yen laughed dryly. His mind turned quickly, and then he said with uncertainty, Is it about the treasure map? Shoujo stared at Wu Yen. Her silent gaze made Wu Yan's hair stand on end. As for Mikoto, she started laughing again. Sighing again, Shoujo said in a bad mood, Yen, I really think your brain is damaged. I already said it's business, you still don't understand? Wu Yen scratched his face and said awkwardly, I think this treasure map. Of course it's not about the treasure map. Plop. Wu Yen fell down in front of Shoujo and the other two girls. Hearing the three girls laughing again, Wu Yen almost knelt down in front of the president. It seems like the president is really treating me like an idiot. Slowly getting up from the ground, Wu Yen glanced at the president who was laughing coquettishly. I didn't think that Shoujo would treat me like this, that, unknowingly. Shoujo said with a smile. She didn't seem embarrassed at all. All right, then I would like to ask Kaisha-sama to enlighten me. What's the matter? Wu Yen raised his hand helplessly, feeling defeated. To think that I, a dignified otaku with countless shocking deeds, was shocked twice by two girls in one day. Moreover, it's the president and sis Canon. This is really humiliating. Of course, it's because of your actions just now. Recalling Wu Yan's ridiculous dance, Kaisha-sama asked in a weird tone. Just what kind of good news is it that made you so happy? Oh! After Kaisha-sama said that, Wu Yen recalled something. He quickly raised the white crystal, and when he heard the repeated notification, Wu Yen confirmed that this is the real deal. Licking his lips excitedly, Wu Yen laughed and said, That's because you don't know the surprise this crystal brought to me. Oh right, this crystal. Mikoto touched the crystal and looked at Wu Yen. Seeing how happy you were just now, this crystal should be able to be exchanged for a lot of summoning points, right? Haha, you won't be able to guess. It's not just a lot. Wu Yen raised the pure white crystal and laughed. This is a full 200,000 summoning points. 200,000. Shoujo and Mikoto finally understood why Wu Yen was so happy. 200,000 summoning points, if they were in his shoes, they would also be overjoyed. Although they wouldn't do the same thing as Wu Yen. Nodding his chin, Wu Yen quickly handed the pure white crystal to the system. Ding! Obtained 200,000 summoning points. After exchanging the pure white crystal for summoning points, Wu Yen finally felt relieved. Clapping his hands in satisfaction, Wu Yen said to Shoujo and Mikoto, The auction is over, let's go back to the hotel. Shoujo and Mikoto nodded. Wu Yen brought the three girls out of the VIP room. Chapter 71. On the way back to the inn, Wu Yan's group of 4 walked slowly with the mentality of having fun. Along the way, Wu Yen heard the whispers of the people around him no less than 100 times. The whispers of passers-by? Usually, very few people would pay attention to such things, right? However, Wu Yen couldn't ignore it. This was because they were all talking about the same thing. That was the treasure map of the auction house and the treasure hunt in 3 days. It had only been a short while, yet the news had already spread to such an extent? Wu Yen frowned as he listened to the discussion of a pair of passers-by in front of him. He was deep in thought. It had only been about half an hour since the treasure map was exposed in the auction venue. In just half an hour, this matter had already become a hot topic in the supply town. Wasn't it a little too fast? It seemed that the auction house was behind this and had arranged for people to spread the news quickly. At this thought, Wu Yan's frown deepened. He really didn't understand. Was there a need to go to this extent? Didn't they know that treasuring a jade ring would arouse the envy of others? Were they afraid that they wouldn't be able to gather enough powerhouses? Or did they have other motives? One thing for sure was that the people at the auction house were definitely not idiot. They definitely weren't being generous by sharing the treasure map. Wu Yan didn't believe that they would be so kind as to share the treasure that a ninth-stage powerhouse had risked his life for with others. There had to be some kind of conspiracy behind the news that they had a treasure map. In all likelihood, it was just as Shoujo had said. They had enough trump cards to deal with all kinds of unexpected situations. Or, they had an eighth-stage powerhouse. Wu Yan rubbed his temples and smiled bitterly in his heart. Sure enough, comparing intelligence and strategizing wasn't my strong suit. Anyway, he would just have to deal with whatever came his way. Even if this matter wasn't that simple, so what? Wu Yan didn't believe that with the magic of the system and his sufficient points, he would be cheated. Plus, he wasn't alone either, looking at Hinajuku and Mikoto, who are happily walking around in front of him. His furrowed brows unconsciously loosened. Smiling, Wu Yan shook his head and tossed these annoying thoughts to the back of his mind. Then, he quickly caught up with her. Yes, he was definitely not alone. In a large hotel in the supply town, this hotel was famous in the supply town. In terms of scale, it was the largest in the supply town. In terms of decorations, it was also the most luxurious. In terms of service, it was the most considerate in the whole supply town. At the same time, it was also the most expensive hotel in the supply town. Therefore, this inn was usually a place where the younger generation of a large family or those with a bit of background would rest. Warriors and magicians who were slightly poorer didn't dare to come here. This was because if they stayed here for a day, they would have to spend all their hard-earned gains from the giant beast's forest. For example, a suite with 1 living room and 2 bedrooms would cost 10 gold coins for 1 night. But no matter which world it was, there would never be a lack of rich people. For example, this suite was booked by a certain nouveau riche without hesitation. The door to the hall was pushed open and Wu Yan's group of 4 walked in. Wu Yan walked in last and closed the door. He looked at Shoujo and the other 2 girls, who were still talking about what was good and what was beautiful on the street, and shook his head in amusement. Sitting down on the sofa, Wu Yan said to Shoujo and Mikoto, "Shoujo, Mikoto, I'm going to participate in the treasure hunt at the auction." The 2 girls stopped their discussion and sat down beside Wu Yan. Mikoto straightened her skirt. Even though she had found a new set of protective gear, new safety pants, at Hinajuka's house, she was still a girl. She didn't dare to act so boldly now. After all, the person sitting in front of her was absolutely shameless. Even if you didn't say it, I would have suggested participating. Mikoto brushed her brown bangs with one hand. Over there, a blue and white electric current that hadn't been there for a long time flashed through her hair. Usually, when Mikoto does this, it means she's burning up. You sure have the guts to say that. Seeing Mikoto's actions, how could Wu Yan not know what she's thinking? Other than ridiculing her in his mind, as expected of Railgun who loves excitement and violence more than anything else, that's all he could say. Aren't you afraid of any danger? You should know that this isn't the same as the last time in the monster cave. The boss last time was a level 60 snake demon. But this time, let's not talk about the danger in the treasure hunt, there's also the possibility of people on the same path turning into enemies. There's definitely going to be a lot of level 60 tier 7 monsters. Isn't this better? Mikoto smiled domineeringly. Having strong players means having experience. I think after this trip, I should. No. Definitely. I'll definitely reach level 70. Level 70? Looks like Mikoto is still thinking about leveling up all the time. It's probably because of her sisters, of course that's good. I'm just worried that there'll be so many people that I'll be ganged up on or tripped up. Wu Yen isn't trying to dampen Siscannon's enthusiasm, but he knows that human nature is the hardest to understand. There must be something shameful going on at the auction that they didn't mention. The other people would also be confused by the word treasure. Greed is the original sin, that's true. Even Wu Yen understood the problem. As a level 5 with super high IQ, Siscannon naturally understood it. It's just that her actions are usually faster than her brain. Do you want to plan? Mikoto retracted the electric current on her forehead and looked at Wu Yen with bright eyes. I want to too. Wu Yen got depressed when he heard Mikoto. But we don't know what the auction house is planning. Also, we don't know who will be participating in this mission. How are we going to plan? Are we just going to let it go? Shoujo asked Wu Yen. Liren was rubbing her eyes and yawning as if she was about to fall asleep. I said I'm going to participate. Of course I'm not going to let it go. Since we can't come up with a plan, we'll just go with our abilities. At times like this, the brave are invincible. Wu Yen chuckled as he looked at Shoujo and Mikoto, who were looking at him expectantly. At this moment, Wu Yen felt like his dominance was leaking out. Of course, that was just his own feeling. Hinajuku and Mikoto don't know if Wu Yan's words are showing off his domineering aura or not, but they have to admit that Wu Yan's words at this moment can really ignite the flames in their hearts, especially these two girls full of heroic spirit. Mikoto and Shoujo looked at each other and smiled. Obviously, Wu Yan's words were to their liking. But Wu Yan's tone changed as he looked at the two girls who were itching to go. We can't just do nothing. Although we don't know what the situation will be like, according to our previous analysis, a Tier 8 combatant will come out. Shoujo and Mikoto frowned. Shoujo said, That's true. The strongest among us is Mikoto, a peak Tier 7. But if she goes up against a Tier 8 combatant, it'll be very dangerous. Don't worry, it's not like we don't have any trump cards. Mikoto touched the potion bottle in her bosom. It's the resplendent breath that Wu Yen gave her in exchange for the potion. Looking at Mikoto's actions, Hinajuku also thought of the same thing. She touched the same bottle on her body, and the confidence in her heart instantly increased. Of course, I know we have something we can rely on. But this isn't enough. For this operation, 3 hours is a very short time. Wu Yen rubbed his chin and waved his hand. Then, should we exchange for a few more bottles of resplendent breath? Shoujo didn't care about anything and directly asked. Liren had already fallen asleep. No. Since they have a Tier 8, let's find a Tier 8 one of our own. Wu Yen grinned with a glint in his eyes. Find a Tier 8 combatant? The two girls were puzzled. Yes. Wu Yen smiled. Summoning points. If we don't use them now, when will we? Chapter 72. That's right. There's still a summon. Mikoto clapped her hands in excitement. They just received a huge sum of summoning points. If they use this sum of points to summon a Tier 8 companion, they won't have to worry about anything else. Of course, the fact that she's excited means that she hasn't realized that summoning is not a good thing for her. Because summoning means that Wu Yan's Crystal Palace is going to expand again, Hinajuku quickly nodded and said with a smile. I almost forgot, this time we got 200,000 summoning points. It should be enough to summon a Tier 8 companion, right? It seems that even Shoujo didn't realize that summoning means the appearance of a love rival. Yes, it's enough. Wu Yen looked at the two girls who are so excited and he let out a sigh of relief. Then, he felt a bit strange. Why did he let out a sigh of relief all of a sudden? He can only blame a certain someone for taking the Crystal Palace for granted. If it wasn't for Shoujo and Mikoto not realizing something, even if his summoning succeeds, Wu Yen wouldn't have a good ending. When I summoned Mikoto, it cost 70,000 summoning points. At that time, Mikoto was already at the peak of Tier 7, which is around level 68. Now, 200,000 summoning points is more than enough to summon a level 70 Tier 8 companion. Wu Yen couldn't help but feel excited when he said this. What? Mikoto raised her head in dissatisfaction and said angrily. Only 70,000 summoning points, how can I be that cheap? The system must have made a mistake somewhere to let you get such a big bargain. Wu Yen is speechless when he heard Mikoto. 70k summoning points is considered cheap? That's almost all of my assets back then, One-sama. Also, 70,000 summoning points is cheap? Then how can the president with 5,000 summoning points endure, as expected? Wu Yen could faintly see the corner of the president's mouth twitching. Her back also darkened a bit. Wu Yen shrunk his head. It would be better if he didn't turn black. In order to prevent the scene from becoming too bloody, Wu Yen could only say, Mikoto, 70,000 isn't cheap. You should know that I spent almost all of my summoning points to summon you. This time, if it wasn't for my good luck that I encountered a crystal that contained life energy, let alone 200,000 summoning points, I don't even know if I could gather 70,000 summoning points. After hearing Wu Yan's explanation, Mikoto put away the oil bottle in her mouth and waved her hand. It's fine, I didn't mind. No, even if you beat me to death, I will not believe that what I saw just now was an illusion. Shoujo panted lightly and said absent-mindedly, Yen, 70,000 gold coins can summon a Mikoto that is close to the 8th tier. If it's 200,000 gold coins, can we summon a 9th tier? Even Kaishu-sama was shocked by her own words. When Wu Yen heard this, he couldn't help but be taken aback. He smiled embarrassedly and said, This, I also don't know. Maybe it's because of the accumulated displeasure in her heart, or maybe it's because Wu Yan's irresponsible answer was too unreliable, but Kaishu-sama raised her voice when she said this. Wu Yen moved his butt back like a coward and avoided her gaze. Because I already decided on who to summon, I didn't consider if 200,000 points is enough to summon a 9th tier. Then why don't you ask the system? Shoujo couldn't help but roll her eyes at him. This guy, he was considered reliable in the demon cave, why is he so unreliable now? I don't think there's a need for that. Wu Yen meekly protested. Since we already decided on who to summon, Tier 8 is more than enough to deal with this situation, there's no need to change it. Wu Yen is digging his own grave by saying this, but he had no choice but to say it out loud. If he really did ask the system, and if it's really feasible, he would have to summon a Tier 9. But, he had already decided to summon this character. Although the summoning of this character didn't cost as much as 200,000 summoning points, and it was definitely much weaker than a character that could be summoned with 200,000 summoning points. However, compared to this character, strength and whatnot were nothing. However, as mentioned before, Wu Yan's words were seeking death. Shoujo looked at Wu Yan's eyes and began to squint dangerously. Shoujo stared at Wu Yan and said suspiciously, I say, I'm just asking the system, why are you so against it? Also, even if a Tier 8 was enough, wouldn't a Tier 9 be enough to sweep through the entire battlefield? At that time, we'll be even more unscrupulous? Why are you so against it? Or, as she spoke, Shoujo stretched out a hand and put it on Wu Yan's shoulder. Shoujo revealed a very beautiful smile and said sweetly, Or is there something else in your heart that you can't let others know about? When Shoujo put her hand on Wu Yan's shoulder, Wu Yan's body trembled in fear. When the president revealed a smile, he was even more frightened. To him, this unusually attractive and beautiful smile was like the smile of a devil. He couldn't help but look away, appearing very guilty. I just feel that it's not good to judge by strength. No matter what, she's still our future companion. If we eliminate her because there's someone stronger than her, isn't that a bit biased? Wu Yen swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said forcibly, as if the truth was on his side. Is that so? Even Mikoto is a bit suspicious of Wu Yan's ulterior motive. After all, Wu Yan's behavior is a bit suspicious. Looking at the two girls who could turn into tigresses at any time, Wu Yen only felt the pressure. Can he honestly tell them that the one he's going to summon is an otaku's dream, the legendary otaku goddess who has a great body and is obedient to everyone? She's usually incomparably soft, but when faced with an enemy, she'll transform into a strong queen. Her natural temperament is off the charts. He can push her whenever he wants and she'll softly call him master. If he really said that, the two girls in front of him won't just turn into tigresses, they'll turn into Azuras. I feel like you have ulterior motives. Shoujo and Mikoto fiercely glared at Wu Yan. But they really can't find any flaws in Wu Yan's words. Although his tone is weak, it's obvious that there's something fishy going on. Well, don't say that. No matter what, she's still a companion that will be together day and night in the future. Although she hasn't been summoned yet, it's too rude of you to say that. Wu Yan said to the two girls with a straight face. As for how much of his expression is real, it's up to him to decide. That's true. When the two girls heard Wu Yan's words, they felt like they were being rude. However, they also felt that something was off. Especially when Wu Yan said that they would get along with each other day and night, they felt like they missed something. Seeing that the two girls were fooled by him, Wu Yan quickly said, "Okay, I'm going to start the summoning. Do you want to go to sleep first or stay and watch?" "What do you mean stay and watch? Can't you use a more normal way of saying stay and watch?" This method of changing the topic is called clever. The two girls were once again fooled. After a couple of dry laughs, seeing that the two girls didn't want to pursue the matter, Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief. To prevent any unexpected accidents from happening, Wu Yan didn't even greet her. He pulled up the system list and opened the summon list. Scrolling through the list, he found his target. Ikaros, heavenly object character. Claims to be the angel of entertainment, but is actually the angel of war, the strongest weapon in war. Title, Sky Queen. Summoning points, 100,000. That's right. It's Ikaros, an otaku's dream. A goddess that can be soft and hard, can be touched and looked at, can be pushed and raised. Ikaros. At this moment, Wu Yan was panting heavily. In less than 0.01 seconds, he clicked on the summoning. Chapter 73. Based on past experience, the summoned character would appear in front of him. Thus, the expectant Wu Yan immediately lifted his head and looked towards the front of the hall. Unfortunately, there was nothing in front of him. What Wu Yan was waiting for was not a girl, but a system notification. Beep. The summoned character's memories and emotions are restricted. Do you wish to remove them? Wu Yan couldn't help but be taken aback by the system's prompt. The system also said that the characters Wu Yan summons are all born a day before the start of the storyline. If Wu Yan remembered correctly, Ikaros' memories and emotions were sealed at the start of the original storyline. Otherwise, she wouldn't have introduced herself as the entertainment-type universal angel in her opening speech. A large part of the reason was that her memory had been sealed. And now, Wu Yan wants to summon Ikaros from a day before the start of the original storyline. Of course, Ikaros' memories and emotions are still sealed. In the original storyline, another omnipotent angel, Nymph, was the one who removed the seal. However, that happened some time after the start of the storyline. After the system's interruption, Wu Yan also remembered that Ikaros' memories and emotions were sealed. To be honest, he really did forget about it. What Wu Yan didn't expect was for the system to be so considerate. It even came with the ability to remove the seal. This made Wu Yan very satisfied but also very guilty. System, you really are a good person. No, a good system. I used to think you were a scam. I'm sorry. Wu Yan thanked the system in his heart. He almost knelt down and shouted, "This subject deserves 1,000 deaths." Beep. Removing the seal on summoned character Ikaros, additional summoning points required. 6,000 points. In an instant, what satisfaction, what guilt, what good guy card, they were all thrown into the behemoth forest by Wu Yan. His so-called gratitude turned into curses. Fine, it's my fault for thinking that you're considerate. You're still a scam, damn it. Removing a seal requires 6,000 points? You really want to scam me to death. Even the Kaishu-sama's summoning price isn't that expensive, what's wrong? Even though they don't know what happened, but looking at Wu Yan's face that changed from expectation to realization, to touched, and now to dumbfounded and angry, Shoujo and Mikoto expressed that they're not only used to this guy with a broken skull, they're numb to it. So they stopped complaining. Phew! Wu Yan retracted his expression and his eyes lost their color as he said stiffly. Oh, nothing much. I'm just about to jump into a hole that I have no choice but to jump into. A few question marks floated above their heads, but Hinajuku and Mikoto didn't ask any more. Wu Yan's nonsensical and incomprehensible language made them feel like they wouldn't be able to get anything out of him even if they kept asking, so they gave up. Where's the summoning? Where's the person? Mikoto looked around for a while. Other than the three of them and Liren, who's already asleep, the hall was empty. She asked with a puzzled face. Shoujo was also curious. Among the three of them, she's the only one who hasn't seen a summoned character. Wu Yan has already seen it since he had two summoned characters in front of him. As for Mikoto, she also saw it when Wu Yan summoned her. She's the only one who hasn't seen a character growing out of thin air. Wu Yan rubbed his face and forced a smile. There's a, small situation, the summoning failed. The two girls cried out in surprise, almost waking up little Li Lin from her sleep. Little Li Lin mumbled something and started to turn around. Seeing this, they hurriedly covered their mouths to stop the noise. After confirming that Liren had only turned over and was still sleeping soundly without any intention of waking up, Hinajuku whispered, "How did it fail?" "It's not really a failure. Didn't you say there was a small situation?" Speaking of small situation, Wu Yan couldn't help but grit his teeth a little. Since it didn't fail, then hurry up and summon. You're always dragging your feet. Mikoto crossed her arms and said with dissatisfaction. Sigh. Wu Yan sighed and said weakly. Coming, looking at his character status, the summoning points bar showed 126,000. Wu Yan sighed again. So, the system calculated the number of points he had, waving out 6,000 points. Wu Yan pressed summon again. Ding. Summoned character Ikaros's seal has been unsealed. Beep. Due to summoned character Ikaros's equipment universal card not conforming to the system's rules, all items will be handed over to the system for free. Thank you for your generosity. Why do I suddenly feel like hitting someone, scratching his hair like crazy? Wu Yan helplessly groaned. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Even though Wu Yan knew that it was understandable that such a heaven-defying item like the universal card was confiscated, but Wu Yan was still pissed. Especially when the system said, "Thank you for your generosity," at the end, it made him want to go crazy. No, he already went crazy. In the originally silent hall, a golden light suddenly flashed in front of Wu Yan and the girls. The intense light made Wu Yan and the girls squint their eyes and raise a hand to block it. The strong light lasted for a while before it dimmed a bit. A tall and slender figure appeared in front of Wu Yan and Ko from the dimming light. Seeing this figure, the expressions of the three girls were completely different. Wu Yan's expression was already starting to get excited, while Shoujo and Mikoto were stunned. Because they really couldn't find words to express their feelings at this moment. She had short pink hair that barely covered her ears. Her face was so delicate that there was nothing extra on it. Her tightly shut eyes added a sense of calmness and serenity to her face that didn't seem to belong to this world. She was wearing an extremely revealing white armor. The top half of her body was barely covered. There were 2 shoulder pads on her shoulders, and her arms were covered with wrist guards. The lower half of her body was covered with a battle skirt. Her white and shiny silver legs did not have a trace of excess fat, allowing the girl's tall and slender figure to be fully displayed. What surprised the 2 girls the most was the light pink wings on the girl's back. She's basically an angel that fell from the heavens. So beautiful. The two girls still haven't relaxed their dazed expression. The words, so beautiful, came out of their mouths unconsciously. Well, you can't blame them. You can only say that under the light that hasn't completely disappeared, the angel-like Ikaros is really too beautiful. Wu Yan's expression was also very exaggerated. 2 kelp-like tears were hanging on his face. His expression is really touched. The light completely dissipated while Wu Yan and the girls were all preoccupied with their own thoughts. Ikaros also completely appeared in front of Wu Yan and the girls, but her eyes were still tightly shut. When Ikaros completely appeared in front of everyone, the 3 of them froze at the same time. Shoujo and Mikoto's jaws dropped, looking at the 2 huge mounds in front of the angelic girl's chest not far from them. They were petrified. Wu Yan's eyes protruded. His eyes were wide open, his neck slowly stretched out. He just wanted to get closer to the ideal sky ravine, even if it's just a little bit. Tall figure? No, that's also very attractive, but in front of those 2 sacred peaks it's just a floating cloud. No matter what the 3 of them are thinking, at least this angelic girl who just descended, Ikaros won't be able to know about it. A tiny ray of light suddenly shot out from the angelic girl's body. In a blink of an eye, it shot into Wu Yan's body and connected the 2 of them. After the heartbeat adjustment process was completed, the ray of light turned into a ball of light and merged into Wu Yan's body. When the consciousness returned to the body's functions started working again. The inexplicable memories were organized. The angelic girl's eyes slowly opened. Chapter 74. Like a newborn animal, the angelic girl's eyelids fluttered. She tried very hard to open her eyes at a very slow speed. Indigo-colored eyes appeared under her eyelids, but they were calm like an ancient well. The autumn water-like pupils made her look a little stiff. She opened her eyes and looked forward. The first thing she saw after opening her eyes was the scene in front of her. And then she saw it. She saw Wu Yan's excited and expectant expression. She saw Liren sleeping soundly with a smile on her face. She saw Shoujo and Mikoto's dazed expression. She didn't know what hit them. She looked at them for a moment before fixing her eyes on Wu Yan. The wings on her back spread open in an instant, and a few feathers flew out with the movement of the wings. They fell gently above her, once again forming an extremely beautiful scene. Ikaros flapped her wings twice. Her feet started to leave the ground. She floated in the air and flew in front of Wu Yan, giving the other 3 a shock. Almost at the same time as she landed, Ikaros's rosy lips parted and a soft and stiff voice came out. Engraving. Begin. Following Ikaros's words, her eyes flashed with a glint of formula. Then, nothing happened. Wu Yan, Shoujo, Mikoto, Ikaros. The hall fell into silence. Wu Yan's trio thought Ikaros was going to do something, but after looking around for a while, nothing happened. They turned back to Ikaros and didn't say anything. After a short moment of silence, under the gaze of Wu Yan's trio, Ikaros, who had been expressionless since her appearance, her expression didn't change. But now, her eyes started to show signs of panic. Raising her hand to touch her neck, Ikaros felt her skin. In her memory, the collar that she had been wearing around her neck since she gained consciousness had disappeared. Ikaros touched her smooth neck. Her expression didn't change, but the panic in her eyes grew. Engraved. Necklace. Gone. Gone. Ikaros muttered. There was a rare trace of emotion in her voice. After sorting out the information that suddenly appeared in her mind, Ikaros knew that she was no longer in the same world as she was before, but to Ikaros, this isn't a big deal. To her, she's just a tool for a new master, obeying her new master's orders, that's all. As for where she was, she didn't need to care at all. In her settings, as long as she saw the person who summoned her, put on the collar, inscribed it on the master, and gave her everything to the master. Then, she would listen to all the master's orders. All of this is a matter of course. But right now, she can't help but panic. The collar is gone, the engraving can't be done, she can't have a master anymore. All of this happened so suddenly in her not-so-developed emotional system, she didn't know what to do. Without a master, she can't receive orders, she can't receive orders, she doesn't know what to do, she doesn't know what to do then. She, the girl in front of him, may be as calm as an ancient well without any change in her expression, but how could he not see the endless confusion in her eyes? Looking at this beautiful girl, Wu Yan's excitement slowly receded and was replaced by infinite pity. As an artificial angel, Ikaros was created as a weapon. You could say that since she was born, her everything was her master. Everything she did was according to her master's orders. Her master told her to fight, so she's been fighting her whole life. She's not nymph or Astrea, Ikaros' emotional system is too low. But that doesn't mean she doesn't have feelings. On the contrary, in Ikaros' mind, once she expresses her feelings, they're the purest and truest. Too bad she doesn't have the ability to make judgments on her own. In other words, she can't make judgments for herself. The disappearance of the collar made her, who had always relied on the program settings to move, at this moment, she didn't know what to do, so she started to feel lost. She was like a helpless little girl. Under Hinajuku and Mikoto's unreadable expressions, Wu Yan grinned and reached out his hand to hold Ikaros's head. Ikaros, who is still in a daze, felt the sudden warmth on her head. She lifted her head and looked at Wu Yan, who is still smiling. Gently caressing Ikaros' beautiful pink hair, looking into her watery eyes, Wu Yan's voice sounded so gentle. Ikaros! Moving his hand to her neck, little by little, Wu Yan smiled. Hey, Ikaros, do you know why your collar disappeared? Shaking her head, Ikaros stared at Wu Yan without moving. That's because our lives are already intertwined, and we can't be separated anymore. This relationship is thousands of times more important than the relationship established by that stupid necklace. That's why the system removed it, because there's no need for it to exist since our lives are intertwined. Retracting his hand, he rubbed Ikaros's head again and he grinned. Everything that is yours is already mine. So, there's no need to be confused. Ikaros stared blankly at Wu Yan, her eyes gradually brightened up. She didn't know when, but the confusion in her eyes disappeared without a trace. Ikaros's eyes became calm again. Looking at Wu Yan, Ikaros said, "Yes," retracting her wings into a pair of small palm-sized wings, Ikaros looked at Wu Yan and spoke softly. "I'm Strategic Angel A, Ikaros, nice to meet you, my master." Tilting his head, Wu Yan smiled and waved. "Ikaros, I'm Wu Yan. Please take care of me from now on." "Yes, master." The two cat ears beside her ears swayed slightly, Ikaros said blankly. Wu Yan nodded. Just as he was about to say something, two slender hands patted his shoulder at the same time. Wu Yan turned around in confusion. The scene in front of him almost made him pee his pants. Behind him, Kaishu-sama and Sis-Kanon were standing there, each with an outstretched hand on his shoulder. Shoujo and Mikoto's lips twitched as they looked at him. Their yellow-green and brown eyes emitted a dangerous signal. Wu Yan couldn't stay calm anymore. Aren't you going to explain yourself?" Kaishu-sama clenched her other hand, ready to summon Shiro Sakura at any time. Wu Yan shrunk his shoulders, but he was restrained by the two girls. He could only laugh dryly. Explain what? Explain what?" Mikoto's hand on Wu Yan's shoulder was about to pinch hard. She forced a smile. "Don't tell me you don't want to explain," she, pointing at Ikaros, Mikoto shouted. "Why did she call you master?" There's a reason. It's an irresistible reason." Wu Yan's heart was thumping hard, forcing an ugly smile. Wu Yan stuttered. "An irresistible reason? Then why do I feel like it's natural for you to hear it?" Shoujo sneered. "Or, did you already know it would be like this before you summoned her?" Cherry blossoms danced in the air, curling around Shoujo's palm. A crystal longsword was conjured out of Shoujo's hand. Her bangs moved up and down, blue and white sparks flashed on her forehead, making crackling sounds. Wu Yan's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. Chapter 75. Yen. Shoujo hugged Wu Yan, looking at him with watery eyes. Then, she closed her eyes and moved her lips closer. Wu Yan swallowed a mouthful of saliva and slowly moved his mouth closer. Yen. At this time, another pair of hands wrapped around Wu Yan's waist. Wu Yan hurriedly opened his eyes to see Mikoto's moist eyes. She licked her lips and copied Shoujo, pouting her cherry lip. Her meaning was obvious. Wu Yan hugged left and right, blissful beyond belief. Looking at Shoujo, then at Mikoto, he didn't know which one to kiss first. Instantly, he fell into a peach blossom dilemma. Master! Another voice, soft and gentle, rang in Wu Yan's ears. At the same time, a pair of wonderful softness pressed against Wu Yan's back, causing Wu Yan's heart to skip a beat. Turning his head, what entered his eyes was Ikaro's naturally dazed face. She was hugging Wu Yan's waist from behind, so if Wu Yan slightly lowered his head, he would be able to see a pair of plump Saintus peaks. Looking at Ikaros's expression, Wu Yan's breathing started to become rough. Yen. Just when Wu Yan was about to push Ikaros down, two deep demonic voices that seemed to come from the depths of hell made Wu Yan's thoughts disappear without a trace. Turning his head stiffly like a machine, Wu Yan saw a scene that he would never forget for the rest of his life. With white cherry in hand, Hinagiku's face had turned completely black. Her background had also turned completely black. Most importantly, White Cherry's crystal-like blade had turned completely black. Mikoto lowered her head, her hair and clothes fluttered despite the lack of wind. The electric current flowed through her body at an unprecedented speed. What made Wu Yan even more terrified is that the electric current flowing through Mikoto's body is also black. 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 Wu Yan couldn't help but take 2 steps back, looking at Shoujo and Mikoto in horror. The two completely black women, holding a black hatchet and black electricity, roared at Wu Yan with a ferocious expression. "You're a womanizer who's helping others. Accept your death." In an instant, Wu Yan's head was chopped off. His body was also electrolyzed into slag. Ah! In a hotel room, Wu Yan abruptly opened his eyes and sat up. The blanket on his body had already been flung away by him. Wearing pajamas so thick that juice could be wrung out of it, his face is covered in sweat. Gasping for air, he looked around and when he found himself in a hotel room, he let out a sigh of relief. So it was a dream. Wiping the sweat off his face, Wu Yan tried his best to adjust his breathing. His heart was filled with joy. It was a dream, it was all a dream, ha ha, ha ha. I knew it, Shoujo and Mikoto are so kind. How could they kill me with a hatchet? So it was all a dream. Wu Yan sat on the bed and comforted himself, but the more he spoke, the more guilty he felt. This dream won't come true. When he thought of himself being killed by a hatchet, Wu Yan felt like his throat was on fire. He was incomparably thirsty. It won't. It's just a dream. That's right. It's just a dream. Laughing dryly, Wu Yan shook his head violently. He kept repeating this sentence in an attempt to hypnotize himself. Master, wow! A hatchet appeared. A voice made Wu Yan scream in fear. He pulled the blanket over his head and shivered. Ho ho ho, I won't do it again. Don't hatchet me, please. The weak voice echoed in the blanket. Wu Yan's body trembled more and more. Don't hatchet me, I'm not your master, so please don't hatchet. The begging voice suddenly stopped. Wu Yan was stunned. He finally realized what he heard. HM? Master. Sticking his head out of the blanket like a turtle, Wu Yan fearfully looked towards the source of the voice, then he froze again. Ikaros. Looking at Ikaros lying on the bed, Wu Yan called out in surprise. Yes, master. Ikaros lifted her body, her full chest jiggling up and down because of her movement. Wu Yan's eyes widened, his thirst increased. Do you have any orders? Master. Ikaros didn't realize how seductive her actions were. She just stared blankly at Wu Yan and said, Evil thoughts surged in his mind. Wu Yan looked at the alluring Ikaros. Hearing her words, Wu Yan's blood rushed towards a certain direction. Morning is usually the time when men are the most excited. Wu Yan is also a man, but at this time, an incomparably beautiful girl with a great body who will listen to him absolutely said, "Do you have any orders?" How could Wu Yan not have evil thoughts? Feeling a certain part of his body hard to the point of discomfort, Wu Yan looked at Ikaros with shining eyes and was about to give his orders when the dream from earlier suddenly flashed through Wu Yan's mind. Like a tiger shaking off lice, all evil thoughts disappeared in a blink of an eye. His lower body also softened. The excessive request he was about to say was swallowed back down by Wu Yan, almost choking him to death. Cough, 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 cough. Even though he didn't choke to death, his chest was still blocked, causing Wu Yan to cough nonstop until he almost coughed to death. Master! Looking at Wu Yan's desperate coughing, Ikaros's ears twitched and her head tilted. She can feel that her master is having a hard time, but she doesn't know what to do to make him happy, so she can only stand there and watch Wu Yan's coughing. Even though Ikaros's expression is still blank, Wu Yan can guess what she's thinking and quickly waved his hand. "It's fine, it's just a cough, it's not a big deal." "Yes, master." Since Wu Yan said so, Ikaros can only obey. Patting his chest, Wu Yan took a deep breath and looked up at Ikaros, asking weakly, "Ikaros, what's the matter?" Tilting her head again, Ikaros opened her bright indigo eyes and stared at Wu Yan without blinking, as if thinking about how to answer. After a long while, she finally squeezed out a word. "Nothing, nothing." Obviously, Wu Yan's brain couldn't wrap itself around the situation, repeating Ikaros's words, speechless. "If there's nothing, then why are you in my room, Ikaros?" Last night, Shoujo and Mikoto gave him a good beating. Wu Yan's face was all bruised and swollen. It took a lot of persuasion to convince them to let him go. After that, Shoujo and Mikoto gave Wu Yan a beating, which made Ikaros think that they wanted to hurt Wu Yan. She almost pulled out Apollo and shot at them. In a hurry, he explained everything again to convince Ikaros that Shoujo and Mikoto were playing around with good intentions. Wu Yan almost died from exhaustion. After some deep conversation, Hinajuku and Mikoto also realized Ikaros's naivety. After that, Ikaros was dragged into a room by the two girls. Who knows what they were up to, that's why Wu Yan said that. Too bad, Ikaros was stunned for a while before replying to Wu Yan. "Ikaros came to watch Master sleep, watch me sleep." Stunned, Wu Yan scratched his face and pulled off his blanket. Sitting in front of Ikaros, he asked curiously, "What do you want to watch me sleep for?" "What do I want to?" Ikaros seemed to be thinking about something, but there's no change in her expression. "Just watch Master sleep," twitching his mouth, Wu Yan sighed. He understood Ikaros, but sometimes she's really hard to understand. "What's so nice about watching me sleep?" "If you watch me sleep, don't you need to sleep as well?" "Sleep." Lowering her head, Ikaros said softly. "Ikaros doesn't need to sleep. Doesn't need to sleep? Doesn't need to sleep." That's right, as a man-made omnipotent angel, Ikaros can't sleep. Glancing at Ikaros, who's staring at him blankly, Wu Yan reached out to stroke her head. Gotta think of a way to solve Ikaros's problem of not being able to sleep. Otherwise, Ikaros would be too pitiful if she had to spend the night alone. Chapter 76. In the other room, Shoujo and Mikoto woke up as well. They woke up little Liren, and she started to wash up and get dressed while yawning. Most girls have to dress up after waking up. After all, they like to look pretty. However, this standard can't be applied to Kaisha-sama and Railgun. Although they are also girls, their personalities are more masculine. The two girls just tidied up their hair and clothes and ended what would be a long personal time for other girls. When they walked out of the room and came to the living room, the scene in front of them made them stunned. "Yo, you're awake." Wu Yan was sitting there. When he saw the three girls come out, he called them over. At the same time, His hands didn't stop moving, and he quickly stuffed the food on the table into his mouth. You! Shoujo and Mikoto exclaimed exaggeratedly. They pointed at Wu Yen with trembling fingers. Their faces looked like they've seen a ghost. This made Wu Yan's heart twitch a few times. I say, what's with that look like you've seen a ghost? The corner of his mouth twitched. Wu Yen was about to flip the table. You're really Yen? Not someone else in disguise? Shoujo's words made Wu Yen lose his composure. I say, what are you guys suspecting? Are you that surprised to see me? Wu Yen felt like he wanted to bite someone. He's really pissed off. Anyone who went through a scene like that would feel a little weird. While they were talking, Shoujo and Mikoto pulled little Liren, who was curiously looking at Ikaros, to sit beside Wu Yen. Shoujo glanced at the breakfast on the table and said, Of course we're surprised. Mikoto also snorted and said, You know you're a lazy person. If it's not past 10 o'clock, you'll never wake up. Wu Yen raised his eyebrows and retorted, How could that be? When I was the housekeeper of Shoujo's house, I woke up early every day. Hearing Wu Yan's words, Shoujo immediately curled her lips in disdain and said snappily, You still dare to say that? During that period of time, I was the one who lifted your quilt and woke you up. If I didn't wake you up, I think you even forgot to go to class. Suddenly, Wu Yen was speechless. Snickering, Shoujo picked up a piece of bread from the table and took a bite. She frowned, and Mikoto did the same. Where did this bread come from? After the second bite, Shoujo and Mikoto put down the bread in their hands at the same time and said with dissatisfaction, It seems like the taste of this bread is not to their liking. What happened? Wu Yen picked up the third piece of bread and took big bite. He said strangely, It's from the hotel. Isn't it delicious? I think it's not bad. Didn't you make it, Yen? Oh please. Wu Yen couldn't help but roll his eyes and said, This is a hotel. There's service here. Why do you have to make it yourself? Hearing this, the two girls became depressed again. Hinajuku even whispered, But you've always been the one doing it. I'm not a professional chef. Wu Yen raised his hand and said loudly, It seems like these two ladies are treating him as their personal chef. Sigh, what should we do now? Shoujo pointed at the bread on the table and said in distress, After eating Wu Yan's dishes, ordinary dishes don't taste good anymore. Indeed, Kaisha-sama was raised by Wu Yen for a month. Don't forget, Wu Yen has the cooking master ability. During that month, Shoujo ate Wu Yan's dishes every day. Her appetite has long been spoiled. Now, the food made by the hotel is a bit hard to eat. Even Mikoto is the same. Only little Liren, who hasn't eaten Wu Yan's food, is eating with relish. Knowing this, Wu Yen can't help but ridicule in his heart. The breakfast made by the famous noble hotel in this supply town is called Ordinary by You. This makes the hotel owner who paid a high price to hire a famous chef feel bad. However, Wu Yen is a bit pleased with himself. Now you know you can't leave this, brother. It's all your fault, Yen. You made the food so good that now we can't eat other people's food. Mikoto gritted her teeth and glared at Wu Yen. Swallowing the last bite of the bread, Wu Yen could only helplessly say, Just make do with it, aren't you hungry? To be honest, Kaisha-sama and Sis-Kanon are a bit hungry. At that moment, they could only unwillingly pick up the bread on the table and eat it with wrinkled faces. At this moment, beside Shoujo, little Liren, who has been curiously looking at Ikaros since she came out of the room, finally spoke. As she chewed on the bread, she looked at the motionless Ikaros behind Wu Yen and asked in her baby voice, Who is this beautiful big sister? Wu Yen, Shoujo and Mikoto flinched. Only then did they remember little Liren hasn't seen Ikaros before. Oh right, Ikaros. Shoujo and Mikoto turned to look at Ikaros, feeling a bit embarrassed. Because they had completely ignored Ikaros just now, Ikaros can only blame herself for standing obediently behind Wu Yen and not saying anything. Of course, it's not to say that Ikaros' presence is low. On the contrary, even if Ikaros doesn't speak, it's hard not to notice her. After all, Ikaros is too pretty. If Ikaros is a ripe peach, then Shoujo and Mikoto are green apples. After all, Shoujo and Mikoto are 14 and 15 respectively. Their bodies haven't fully matured yet. Even if they have good looks, compared to Ikaros, there's still a small gap. Of course, that's only for now. Once these two tsundere half lowly grow up, it'll be hard to say. And this is after Wu Yen told Ikaros to wear a normal girl's clothes to cover up her wings. Otherwise, she'd be even more conspicuous. But since she just joined last night, it's understandable that she didn't notice. Beautiful big sister, why are you ignoring Liren? Do you hate Liren? Seeing Ikaros just staring blankly at her without answering her question, little Liren weakly asked. Haha, little Liren, don't mind her. It's not that Ikaros is ignoring you, it's just that Ikaros isn't good at communicating with others. Wu Yen looked at little Liren's pitiful face and could only say so. He's not going to say that he's just attracted by her cuteness. Mikoto looked at Ikaros and suddenly asked, Ikaros, did you wake up early? I didn't see you when I woke up, so I thought you'd gone somewhere. Finally realizing that everyone was talking about her, Ikaros slowly turned to look at Wu Yen and whispered, I went to Master's room. As soon as he heard Ikaros answer, Wu Yan's heart screamed, not good. If Shoujo and Mikoto knew that Ikaros stayed in his room the whole night, he'd die a horrible death. Absolutely. Just thinking about the dream of being chopped up by a chopper, Wu Yan's heart jumped. Wu Yan quickly interrupted. Oh right, Shoujo and Mikoto, we're going to go treasure hunting the day after tomorrow. What's the plan for little Liren? Have to say, this topic was changed very well. Shoujo looked at Liren and hesitantly said, This. I also. Too bad. Before Shoujo could finish, little Liren stood up and shouted, I want to go too! No. Little Liren, the place we're going to this time is very dangerous. Mikoto immediately objected when she heard Liren's words. No matter what, little Liren is just a weak little girl. I don't care, I don't care. I want to go. Liren hugged Hinagika tightly, her voice choked with sobs. Shoujo, Nei-san, Oni-san, don't leave Liren behind, I don't want to leave you guys. Yen. Shoujo didn't know what to do while hugging little Liren. Wu Yen sighed and pondered. Let's bring her along, we don't have any other plans. I think we can still protect her. Mikoto could only nod at Wu Yan's words. Liren's tears turned into laughter and she cheered happily. Looking at all the girls, Wu Yen murmured, Now, all that's left is to wait. Chapter 77. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye. Supply Town's southern plaza. This is the largest plaza in the southern part of the town. If you continue walking forward, you'll reach the southern exit of the town. Even though this plaza is big, it's not the way to the behemoth forest. Also, it's not the main entrance. That's why there aren't many people here. But today this place is packed with people. It's literally a sea of people. Wu Yen, Shoujo, Mikoto, Ikaros, and little Liren are standing at an inconspicuous corner of the plaza. Looking at the huge crowd in front of them, they're speechless. There's at least 10,000 people here. Looks like the news from the auction house spread like wildfire these days. It's not like there's nothing to gain. Wu Yen looked at the endless stream of people. Looking at the small groups, large groups, and even mercenary groups, he couldn't help but frown. Because if they found the so-called treasure, everyone here might. No, it was certain that they would all become their enemies. Wu Yen doesn't believe that anyone here would be kind enough to share the treasure they found. Looks like a lot of families and mercenary groups sent people here to get involved in this mess. Mikoto's eyes flashed with an inexplicable light as she looked around the plaza. Of course, Mikoto isn't counting the number of people here. She's not that bored. Right now, Mikoto is using the system to detect everyone's strength. Even though Shoujo is carrying little Liren, she's doing the same thing. The light in her eyes didn't stop moving. Shoujo's face is tense as she said with a dignified face. Strong. So many. Wu Yan's group hasn't been in this spalier world for long. Even Wu Yan, who came here first, only stayed for a few months. He's not familiar with this place. Those clans, mercenary groups, he doesn't know any of their names. Even if he could use the system's perception to detect the names of the people here, he wouldn't bother trying to memorize them. After all, there are tens of thousands of people here. However, probing his strength was absolutely necessary, because they might become enemies. Those below the 5th stage were almost innumerable, and the number of 5th stage experts was quite large. However, these people were not enough to pose a threat to Wu Yan's group. Wu Yan's group did not care about them. What really made Wu Yan concerned were those who could pose a threat to them. Almost 100 stage 6 people. Shoujo looked at Wu Yan and said, "Rank 7, 15 of them." Mikoto pursed her lips and turned to Wu Yan. "No one at the 8th level has appeared yet." Wu Yan frowned and glanced at the crowd. Mikoto squinted her eyes and resisted the urge to release electricity. Her lips curled up and she said, "So many strong fighters, seriously. You're excited, right?" Wu Yan rolled his eyes at Mikoto and said in an exasperated tone, "Oh, we are trying to estimate how many people can pose a threat to us. Look at you, you're the one getting excited first. You should know that there are more than 100 people here who can deal damage to us. You said there are more than 100 people here, but there's not a single one who can pose a threat to me." Mikoto touched her bangs and smiled. "Although there are 15 people above level 60, the highest level here is still me. I'm level 69. They're not a threat to you, but they're a threat to us." Wu Yan shrugged and waved his hand. "I'm only level 50. There are more than 100 people here who can deal with me. Not to mention, Mikoto, you're the highest level here. You're not afraid of a one-on-one fight, but what about a group fight?" Alright, I'm just saying. Do you think I don't know? Really, why are you being so serious?" Mikoto's original hot-bloodedness was crushed by Wu Yan's words. She felt that this guy in front of her was really annoying. "Alright, we still have Ikaros here, don't worry." Shoujo interrupted the two's conversation and said snappily, "If they're worried about this with their level of strength, then wouldn't I be trembling in fear?" "That's true, we still have Ikaros here." Wu Yan turned to look at the expressionless Ikaros, who was staring blankly at him. Wu Yan felt relieved. If Mikoto had to worry about being ganged up on since there are more than a dozen people here who are at the same level as her, then Ikaros has no such worries. Wu Yan can say with certainty that even if everyone here came at her together, they wouldn't be a match for Ikaros. Group battles and whatnot are completely useless against Ikaros, who is a strategic, all-purpose angel with a bunch of lethal weapons on her. Ikaros is an existence that can destroy an entire civilization. Not to mention, they're not to be trifled with either. Character, Wu Yan abilities. Sword Mastery, Cooking Mastery, Complete Memory, Chaotic Return to Horizon Dance, Electromaster, LV4. Equipment. Shana of the Holy Temple, C rank. Dragon Armor, C rank. Summons. Misaka Mikoto, Gue Chuju, Ikaros Equipment Points. 21,000 Item Points. 810000 Ability Points. 101000 Summoning Points. 120000 Level. 50 Character. Misaka Mikoto Ability. Electromaster, LVL5, Strength. C Endurance, C Agility, B Spirit, A Equipment, None Level, 69 Character, Gue Chuju Ability, None Strength, C Endurance, D Agility, C Spirit, C Equipment, White Cherry D Rank Level, 35 Character, Ikaros Ability, Sky Queen Mode Strength, A Endurance, B Agility, B Spirit, A Equipment, Artemis Permanent Homing Missile, C rank. Aegis Absolute Defense Circle, C rank. Apollon Apollo, C rank. Uranus System, B rank. Level 77. Wu Yan silently put away the status list. He glanced at the Tier 7 leaders at the front of the group and he grinned. Even though he's on the same level as Shoujo, he's not considered one of the strongest here. There are more than 100 people who are higher level than him, and who knows how many are higher than Shoujo. But on Wu Yan's side there's Mikoto. At the very least, Mikoto is the strongest in the group of Tier 8. Of course, Wu Yan's biggest worry is Ikaros. Level 77. Tier 8. Even among Tier 8 she's definitely one of the best. In addition to that, there's a list of equipment that makes Wu Yan's heart tremble. Wu Yan believes that Ikaros is definitely the strongest in the group of Tier 8. Even if a Tier 9 comes, they won't have a good time. Because aside from the 3C rank equipment, Ikaros still has a B rank equipment. Gold armament. That's something that only Tier 9 elites have the qualifications to use. That's something that even Wu Yan doesn't have. That's something that even a Tier 8 elite doesn't have. With an armament of this level, in this group of people without Tier 9 elites, who's going to be the strongest? Even if it's other equipment, it's still not to be underestimated. There's also a gap between C rank equipment. Just like a person of the same tier, a person of the same tier, a person of the same tier, a person of level 60 and a person of level 69, how big is the gap between them? It's the same for equipment. Even if they're both C rank, there's still a gap between rare armaments. For example, Wu Yan's 2 rare armaments, the Holy Temple Veil is probably in the middle tier, while the Spiritual Dragon Armor is in the upper tier. And Ikaros's Permanent Homing Missile and Absolute Defense Circle are in the upper tier. Apollo is even more exaggerated, it's a C rank. But Wu Yan asked the system, Ikaros's Apollo, although its AC rank, is infinitely close to AB rank. Super high level, super strong equipment, it's what created this heaven-defying girl. That's why there's only 5 people on his side, including a little lowly who can't help at all and can only be a mascot. But Wu Yan isn't afraid of anyone. Even if their numbers can't be compared to those mercenary groups or big clans that have hundreds and thousands of people, their quality is definitely not worse than any of those groups. In addition, Wu Yan used 70,000 item points to exchange for some items last night. Wu Yan doesn't believe that he'll return empty-handed from this treasure hunting trip. Simply put, Wu Yan is starting to burn. Chapter 78. Just as the people in the square were chatting away, the sound of a gust of wind suddenly entered everyone's ears. The whistling wind came down from the sky, blowing the whole square. Some of the lighter ones even had to grab onto their companions to avoid being blown away. A gust of wind is harmless, but for the women, they weren't so lucky. Although the wind wasn't strong enough to blow them away, but it did blow their clothes into a mess. The female warriors were fine, after all, they're still women, but they're still warriors, so they'll at least wear 1 or 2 pieces of light armor. The rare female magi, on the other hand, had it bad. Most of the female magi wore light robes, and the gust of wind blew their clothes up, causing their skirts to flutter even more. It was a feast for the eyes of the male companions, and at the same time, the whole square was filled with gasps of surprise. The male crowd was cheering loudly in their hearts, feeling incomparable happiness. They felt that this trip wasn't in vain, and Wu Yan was also a part of this happiness. The 3 girls and 1 lowly beside him also had their skirts fluttering up. Shoujo and Mikoto held their skirts tightly, not letting themselves be exposed. Even if they were exposed, Wu Yan wouldn't want to look, after all, they're wearing safety pants. The little lowly, Liren, on the other hand, is a bit interesting. She's wearing cute little panties, but Wu Yan only caught a glimpse of her before her skirt was covered up by the daisies that are also pressed into her skirt. The one that really made Wu Yan secretly happy is Ikaros. This natural all-rounder angel doesn't have any scruples at all. The wind blew her skirt up high, revealing her white little cutie. But she didn't know how to cover it up, she just stood there looking at Wu Yan, wondering what's so good about Wu Yan. Hinajuku and Mikoto are busy with their own business, so they didn't pay attention to Ikaros. Wu Yan moved his feet and blocked Ikaros so that no one can see her figure. Then, He widened his eyes and stared at Ikaros's lower body, while Wu Yen was enjoying himself. Ikaros's eyes only flashed twice before returning her gaze to Wu Yen. She didn't move at all, just like a statue. Soon, the culprit that caused this gust of wind appeared in front of everyone's eyes. To be more precise, it appeared in the air above everyone. A strangely shaped ship slowly descended from the sky above the square. Standing at the bow of the ship was the old man who presided over the auction last time. "A ship can fly!" Shoujo cried out in surprise. Luckily, the wind was very strong, so other than Wu Yan's group, no one else heard what Shoujo said. Otherwise, it would have attracted a lot of attention. After all, this strange flying ship is one of the Spalier world's main means of transportation. There's not many people who haven't seen it before. If Shoujo's words were heard by others, they would have looked at her like she's an alien or a country bumpkin. "Wah! It's an airship! It's an airship!" Liren raised both her hands and shouted. She seems to have seen this airship before. "Is that an airship from this world? Although I heard Feifei mention it before, it's a bit different from a ship." Wu Yen rubbed his chin, recalling Feifei's words. He suddenly realized. Actually, it's not just the appearance that's different from a ship. It's not like a normal ship just because it can fly. The airship slowly descended, and the people below the airship immediately scattered like birds and beasts. They didn't want to be crushed into a persimmon. Thus, the airship stopped in the open space in front of everyone's eyes. Due to the airship's large size, it's almost a quarter of the square, so when it stopped in the square without any hindrance, the people in the square felt a bit crowded. The old man from the auction house stood at the front of the airship with his hands behind his back, looking like an immortal. Wu Yen secretly scolded him for being pretentious. The old man looked at the large number of people below, nodded with satisfaction, laughed a few times and then said, "Everyone, since you're here, you must be ready to go treasure hunting with us, right? This old man here would like to say welcome to all of you. Let's have a pleasant cooperation, and I also hope that everyone will have a fruitful journey in the future." Then, next, I will explain some things that we need to explain on this trip. Originally, this old man didn't have the chance to explain it to everyone. After all, there are many people here who are of the same rank as me, or experts from various large families. However, since this trip was initiated by our auction house, then I will be thick-skinned and show off in front of everyone. Listening to the old man's words, Wu Yen only felt speechless. You clearly know that there are many people of the same rank and from large families and mercenary groups here, yet you keep on nagging. Can't you see that these people are already a bit annoyed by your high and mighty attitude? And you don't even cut to the chase. Isn't this showing off? Do you really want to be scolded? Perhaps he heard Wu Yan's ridicule. The old man coughed twice, cleared his throat, and shouted, "Everyone, this time, the treasure location we are heading to is the Small Ring Mountain Range." Small Ring Mountain Range? Wu Yen took out the map book on his body and began to flip through it. Seeing this, Shoujo, Mikoto, and little Liren immediately surrounded Wu Yen and looked at the map in his hand. Soon, Wu Yen found this so-called Small Ring Mountain Range. It's just an unremarkable mountain range. The terrain isn't high and the area it occupies isn't much. It can be said that it's not famous at all, and has no special features. However, looking at this Small Ring Mountain Range on the map, Wu Yen and Mikoto frowned at the same time. "What's wrong?" Seeing the two frowning, Shoujo quickly asked. "Oh, it's nothing." Wu Yen stuffed the map book in his hand to Mikoto and looked up at Shoujo. "I'm just wondering why a small mountain range with no special features would have such a huge treasure. Maybe they chose this place to hide the treasure because it has no special features. After all, it's not easy to be discovered this way." Shoujo pondered for a moment and said to Wu Yen, "And you're right." Wu Yen nodded. Shoujo looked at Mikoto, who was still looking at the map, and asked, "So Mikoto, what do you see?" "I don't see anything, I just have some thoughts." Mikoto put the map book in front of everyone and said, "Look, there's almost no town around this mountain range. Don't even mention a town, there's not even a small village. Indeed. Wu Yen glanced at the area and asked Mikoto. Other than the name of Kohuan Mountain Range, there's nothing there. And then? What do you think when you see this? She put away the map book and tossed it to him. She continued in a serious tone. What I'm thinking is, if something were to happen over there, wouldn't the heavens and earth be at a loss for what to do? Hearing Mikoto's words, everyone fell silent. Feeling the heavy atmosphere, Wu Yen suddenly laughed and straightened his back, saying, "Well, since the bridge will cross when the boat reaches the bow, if we keep worrying about this and that, I'm afraid we won't be able to do anything when the time comes. Did you forget? We want the brave to be invincible." Mikoto and Shoujo looked at each other and laughed, saying in unison, "That's right. The brave to be invincible." At the same time, the old man standing at the bow of the ship said to everyone, "Because the journey is long, our auction house has already prepared an airship. If there's any inconvenience, please forgive us." Originally, he just wanted to say some polite words, but what the old man didn't expect was that many female magicians below were glaring at him, making him a little confused. Seeing this scene, Wu Yen almost laughed. Shoujo and Mikoto also looked at the old man with displeasure. If looks could kill, he would have died a few hundred times already. Wu Yen was already suspecting whether this old man really didn't know or did he do it on purpose. Saying "forgive us" like this, it's a group mockery to the girls who just expose themselves. Even if he didn't understand, the old man still continued. "Then, please get on the airship, we're about to depart to the mountain range." Wu Yen looked at Shoujo, Mikoto, Ikaros, and little Liren, turned his head and said, "Let's go." Chapter 79. When Wu Yan's group stepped onto the deck, Ikaros, who was following behind Wu Yen, suddenly froze. Her indigo pupils shrank and turned into a deep red. Almost at the same time, her eyes turned back to indigo as if nothing happened. Ikaros froze. Wu Yan's group naturally noticed. Wu Yen turned to Ikaros and asked, "What's wrong, Ikaros?" Ikaros raised her head and looked at Wu Yen. "Master, there's a very dangerous life form." "A very dangerous life form." Wu Yan's group looked at each other. Mikoto walked to Ikaros's side. "Ikaros." Mikoto lightly tugged at Ikaros's clothes and pulled her gaze away from Wu Yen. "You mean you sensed a very strong life form on this airship, right?" "Yes." Ikaros replied softly and turned her gaze back to Wu Yen. It was as if she didn't see Wu Yen for a second, Wu Yen would disappear. "Ikaros, how strong is the life form you sensed?" Wu Yen also walked to Ikaros's side and asked in a low voice. Ikaros's gaze also changed following Wu Yan's movement. Hearing Wu Yan's question, Ikaros paused for a moment before answering. Number 3, Strength A, Danger Level Unknown. I suggest Master eliminate them. Wu Yan's eyelids twitched and he quickly said, Let's not act rashly. Ikaros, let's just wait and see." "Yes, Master." After Ikaros went blank again, Mikoto and Shoujo came to Wu Yan's side and asked, Number 3, that's understandable. Ikaros sensed 3 life forms, but what's the standard for strength and danger level?" According to Ikaros's settings, Strength A means they're on the same level as her. In other words, there are 3 people on the same level as her. In other words, they're Tier 8. Wu Yan's face turned serious as he explained to Shoujo and Mikoto. Tier 8 finally appeared. Mikoto exhaled. Tier 8, that's her current goal. Even with her current strength, she has to look up to them. When I didn't see any Tier 8 people, I thought our guess was wrong. I didn't expect them to hide first. Hinagiku said dejectedly as she scanned the airship with her system perception, but to no avail. Wu Yen smiled. "That's understandable. They're Tier 8 after all. The auction house gathered the strongest to explore the treasure trove. How could they let a Tier 8 wait in the plaza with the others?" 3 Tier 8, Ikaros. Can you tell us their specific strength? Mikoto groaned in distress and asked Ikaros. Ikaros's pupils shrunk again, but this time it didn't turn dark red. She looked around and said, "Their bodies are unknown. Their strength is unknown. Location is being determined. We haven't detected them yet. Ikaros, since you haven't found them, then don't bother looking. When the time comes, they'll naturally appear." Rubbing Ikaros's head, Wu Yen said with a smile. Turning to look at Wu Yen, Ikaros froze for a moment before replying. "Yes, master, humph." Seeing Wu Yan's intimate action towards Ikaros, Shoujo and Mikoto couldn't help but snort coldly to express their displeasure. Smiling embarrassedly, Wu Yen bitterly retracted his hand. While Wu Yen and the rest were talking, the airship also slowly floated up into the air. It circled in the air for a while, as if to determine the direction, then turned and flew towards the south. "How magical! This is the first time I've sat on a flying airship." Mikoto weighed her feet and said curiously. "Actually, it's also my first time." Wu Yen laughed dryly and said to Mikoto while hugging little Liren, who jumped into his arms. "Of course, I've never seen a flying airship in Academy City. Ugh, except for a certain airship that only reports the weather. And you, coming from such a backward place, don't even mention it." Mikoto curled her lips and sneered. Wu Yen is speechless, but Mikoto is right. Even though he came from a world of technology, but compared to Academy City in Mikoto's world where technology is 30 years ahead of the outside world, the technology of the 21st century can only be considered backward. Seeing Wu Yan's silence, Mikoto turned her head away in dissatisfaction and said, "Then, what do we do next? Should we wait here until we reach our destination, or should we go and look for those 3 guys of the 8th step?" Wu Yen pondered for a while and said, "Let's not do that, I'm afraid we'll attract their attention." "What's there to pay attention to? They should have noticed us a long time ago, right?" Mikoto looked at Wu Yen in confusion. Since Ikaros can sense their presence and they're both tier 8, even if they're not as strong as Ikaros, they should still be able to sense our presence, right? "You're wrong this time." Wu Yen laughed and waved his hand to refute. "Wrong?" Mikoto frowned. "What's wrong?" Wu Yen glanced at Ikaros and continued with a smile. "Ikaros can sense the other party because her system has a scanning ability. That's why she can sense the other party's presence." "Is that so?" This time it was Mikoto's turn to refute. "Even if Ikaros's perception is better, how can you be so sure they won't notice us?" "No, I'm sure they won't notice us." "How can you be so sure?" Instantly, Sis Cannon was even more annoyed. Wu Yen smiled bitterly and explained. "You don't know, the people in this world train in magic and do-chi. Both warriors and magicians have do-chi and mana in their bodies. As far as I know, the practitioners in this world rely on do-chi and mana to detect other practitioners." "I understand now." When Wu Yen said that, Mikoto came to a sudden realization. She clenched her fist and tapped her palm. She said in a relieved manner, "Because they rely on do-chi and mana to detect us, we who don't cultivate do-chi and mana won't be detected by the enemy." "Smart." Wu Yen praised Mikoto and said with a smile, "Although we can't generalize, no one knows if there's any special sensing method in the Spalier world. But one thing is for sure." "What?" "Even if they can detect us, they definitely won't be able to detect our strength," Wu Yen said confidently. "Because we don't train in do-chi or magic, how can they determine our strength? They're not like us who have the system's ability to detect levels." "Well, at least you have a bit of judgment." "Damned Sundara." Looking at the scenery outside the floating airship, Wu Yen suddenly felt that something was wrong. "Mikoto, don't you feel like something's missing?" A strange feeling suddenly surged in Wu Yan's heart. It made Wu Yen feel like he had forgotten something. Wu Yan's question startled Mikoto. She seemed to have thought of something and said, Now that you mention it, I really do feel like something's missing compared to usual." Just when the two were thinking hard, Liren, who was in Wu Yan's embrace, pulled on Wu Yan's neck and said, "Big brother, are you guys looking for Shoujo Jiejie?" "Oh right, Shoujo." Wu Yan and Mikoto suddenly remembered what they had forgotten. "It seems like they haven't heard Shoujo's voice since a while ago. Where is she?" Mikoto looked around but couldn't find her. "There." Liren pointed at a certain pale Shoujo who was lying on the deck with her legs bent backwards. Her forehead was filled with black lines and her face was pale. "What's going on?" Mikoto was stunned when she saw Shoujo's miserable state. "Ugh!" Wu Yan slapped his head and sighed at the sky. "I almost forgot. Kaishu-sama has acrophobia." Chapter 80. For the president, a journey that felt like a year was just a matter of chatting with the others. In the time it took to chat, it had already passed. It had to be said that the airship's speed was indeed extraordinary. It was not to say that it was faster than a plane. One had to know that even if it could fly, it was still a ship. If it was faster than a plane, then the group of people standing on the deck would have been blown to God knows where long ago. The reason why it was said to be fast was because it would be enveloped by a magic array every once in a while. As the airship was wrapped in the magic array, the people on the airship would feel their vision blur. Then, the scenery outside the airship would completely change. Those magic arrays were actually large-scale teleportation magic arrays. It could be said that no one in the Spalier world knew how big it was. After all, no one had ever reached the end of the Spalier world. Therefore, no one knew how big it was. They only knew that it was very big. Wu Yan had only been in the Spalier world for a few months, but Wu Yan knew the size of the Spalier world from the system. It was bigger than 10 Earths. In such a big world, the airship was the fastest means of transportation. It wasn't because of how fast it was, but because of the teleportation magic arrays fixed in the sky. These large-scale teleportation magic arrays fixed in the sky were all built by the huge forces in the Spalier world's long history. They were built with a lot of manpower and money in order to allow the airship to have the ability to travel to all parts of the world. Usually, the teleportation magic arrays were hidden. Even if a person who could fly passed through them, they wouldn't have any reaction. On the airship, there was a small activation magic array. As long as the airship came into contact with the teleportation magic array, this activation magic array would be activated. It would summon the teleportation magic array hidden in the sky and provide people with teleportation services. Therefore, only the airship could use these teleportation magic arrays. If they were to use the plane in Wu Yan's world, it would take 3 days and 3 nights to fly from the supply town to the small ring mountain range at the fastest speed. But with the help of the airship and these teleportation magic arrays, such a long distance was shortened to 2 to 3 hours. When the airship passed through another teleportation magic array, the old man stood at the bow and told everyone that they had arrived at their destination. What appeared in front of them was just a very ordinary mountain range. The mountain range wasn't high or low. The mountain range wasn't long or short. It was almost ordinary. When they saw this mountain range, everyone on the airship had the same thought at the same time. Could there really be treasures here? Even Wu Yan and the others had the same thought. "Everyone, we are about to land. Please get ready." The airship's speed began to slow down. Above one of the mountains, the airship turned around and slowly descended. People disembarked from the airship one after the other. There wasn't any order to speak of, and it was just individual movements between groups. Fortunately, the airship had landed in a fairly spacious area. Otherwise, there was no telling if these people would be willing to squeeze together. There are too many people, so it seems like it will take a while for everyone to get off the airship. However, this has nothing to do with Wu Yan and company. They are the first group to get off the airship. As for the reason why, are you feeling better? After being carried off the airship by Ikaros, Ikaros found an inconspicuous corner and put something in her hand on the ground. Chuja's legs are still a little weak, she can barely stand. When she was put down, she stumbled and sat on the ground. Hugging little Liren, she gasped for air. Mikoto quickly went up to her and patted her back. As for Wu Yen, he watched helplessly and gloatingly from the side. Ikaros stood beside him with an expressionless face. "All right, I'm fine. Don't worry." Seeing little Liren and Mikoto's worried faces, Shoujo forced herself to lift her head and forced a laugh. Her face is still a little pale, but compared to when she was on the airship, it's a lot better. After everyone came down from the airship, Kaishu-sama stood up and recovered some strength. "Those who got the map should know our route. Those who didn't, please follow our auction house. Everyone, let's go." Maybe it's because they're about to enter the treasure location, the old man didn't bother with formalities. Seeing that everyone is here, he led the auction house's people and set off. Seeing this, groups of various sizes also began to follow. The group of people began to walk towards the location of the treasure in a grandiose manner. After patting Chuju's back and receiving a nod from Shoujo, Wu Yen said to everyone, "Let's go too." "This is the treasure location?" Mikoto looked at the empty space in front of her. She was depressed to the extreme and confused. Wu Yan's group attended the auction 3 days ago and saw the treasure map. Not to mention Wu Yen, who has perfect memory. Even Kaishu-sama can remember a bit of it. Needless to say, Mikoto's calculation ability is one of the top 7 in Academy City. Mikoto can say with certainty that this is the treasure location indicated on the map. The problem is, there's nothing here. Forget treasure, there's not even a tree. Seeing this situation, anyone would be depressed. Those with bad tempers have already gone mad. Suddenly, the entire group was filled with angry shouts and questions. Some of them even went to the auction house's people to settle the score. This group of people seemed to have started arguing with the auction house's people. The old man leading the auction house seemed to be explaining something to the crowd and then continued to lead the auction house's group forward. The depressed and doubtful crowd could only follow the people from the auction house with a skeptical attitude. Until a stone tablet appeared in front of them. "This is the treasure location?" It's the same sentence again, but this time, Mikoto didn't say it with a depressed tone. Instead, her tone was filled with confusion. "Looks like it." Wu Yen nodded and he gestured at the old man with his lips. "Look, that old man seems to be doing something new." Shoujo, Mikoto, and the others looked over and saw the old man leading the auction house's people to the stone tablet. The group then spread out and surrounded the stone tablet. The old man gently placed his hand on the stone tablet. At the same time, a few of his sixth-order companions behind him also placed their hands on him. Following suit, the entire auction house's team put their arms around each other's shoulders. Everyone saw that when the old man placed his hand on the stone tablet, a burst of light emerged from the place where his hand came in contact with the tablet. Then, the old man was surrounded by light. At the same time, it also dyed the person who placed his hand on the old man's body. In an instant, the auction house's people were all dyed in light and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. "They're gone." Hinajuku stared blankly at the place where the old man disappeared. Everyone else had the same expression. Only the group of people who were talking to the old man didn't have any change in expression. They even imitated the old man's actions and touched the stone tablet and disappeared. Looks like the stone tablet's function is to teleport people to the treasure location. Wu Yen and Shoujo looked at each other. Their gaze towards the stone tablet became a bit more relaxed. As more and more people were teleported to the treasure location, the place became more spacious. As time passed, except for those who were more timid and suspicious, most of the people left. "Should we go, Yen?" Shoujo looked at Wu Yen. Mikoto and Liren had the same thought. Ikaros, from start to finish, didn't look away from Wu Yen. Seeing everyone's questioning gaze, Wu Yen thought for a moment and nodded. Then, he led them up. Before being teleported, Wu Yen secretly glanced at a certain place. There are the 3 dangerous life forms that Ikaros just told him about. Chapter 81. When they came back to their senses, Wu Yen and the rest found themselves on an empty stone floor. No matter how I look at it, this place doesn't look like a treasure location. Mikoto wrinkled her nose and snorted as she looked at this place. Wu Yen looked like he already knew this would happen. He calmly scanned the surroundings and sighed. I knew it, things weren't that simple. Hinajuku walked around the area, her yellow-green eyes constantly turning around. She didn't know what to look at. After all, there was nothing here except for rocks. After walking around with interest for a while, Hinajuku finally spoke. Where are the others? Why are they all gone? Wu Yen and Mikoto were shocked. Yeah, why are we the only ones here? Could it be that if we touch the stone tablet at different times, we'll be transported to different places? Wu Yen stroked his chin. Looking at the stone floor that couldn't possibly fit 10,000 people, he pondered. There's no way out here. How are we going to get out? Shoujo frowned. Could we have been tricked by the people from the auction house? Mikoto was unusually irritated. Blue and white sparks danced on her forehead. Sis Cannon wasn't a patient person to begin with. Hearing Sis Cannon's guess, Wu Yen waved his hand. No, it shouldn't be possible. If there were only a few of us, we might have been fooled by them. But this time, we aren't the only ones who came. You should know that there are quite a few people in those groups who have great backgrounds. Then what's the situation now? There's no way out. Do we have to open up a path ourselves? Mikoto narrowed her eyes. The electricity on her body began to flow. Why don't I blast a path out? Wu Yan's mouth twitched. Listening to Sis Cannon's dangerous words and looking at the stone floor without an exit, he could only sigh. There's no other way. Let's give it a try. You should have done this a long time ago, Wu Yen said, and the blue and white lightning around Mikoto's body surged. With an excited smile on her face, Mikoto waved her hand. Countless bolts of lightning burst out from her body and gathered in her palm, forming a ball of blue and white lightning. She randomly chose a direction, and the lightning in her hand turned into a powerful bolt of lightning and shot it out from her hand. Boom! The electric shock hit a stone wall and made a loud noise. Then, it was covered by dust. The electric current flickered twice and gradually weakened. Mikoto looked at the dust-covered area of the attack. Her hand brushed her bangs, and the electric current flickered with her movements, looking incomparably cool. Wu Yen looked at Mikoto and was speechless. He could see that Mikoto was very happy after releasing this attack. Sure enough, Sis Cannon was a dangerous person. She could not be Sis Cannon without violence. After a while, the dust settled, and a black hole appeared in front of everyone. Heh heh! Mikoto snorted proudly. Like I said, the path is paved by oneself. How can you walk on someone else's path? Let alone Wu Yen, even Hinajuku and Liren looked at each other, speechless to the extreme. Shoujo suddenly let out a cry of surprise. Looking at the stone wall that was blasted open by Mikoto, she exclaimed. Look! Hearing that, Wu Yen and Mikoto also looked at the stone wall. The scene that appeared in front of them stunned them as well. They saw that the stone wall that was blasted open by Mikoto's electric shock seemed to come alive. The surrounding stone wall wriggled, and at a speed visible to the naked eye, the damaged area was repaired. The hole also gradually disappeared. Mikoto looked at the restored stone wall in shock. Could it be this is another wall monster? If only it was. Wu Yen looked at the restored stone wall and smiled bitterly. If it was a wall monster, then we could take it down. But this stone wall in front of us doesn't even have a level display. In other words, this is a normal stone wall. Normal? A stone wall that can grow on its own, how is it normal? Alright, maybe Sis Cannon was shocked by the fact that her attack didn't have any obvious effect. Sis Cannon was speechless. But in a blink of an eye, Sis Cannon became angry again. Beep beep beep, the electric current exploded again. Mikoto held an electric ball in her hand. She looked at the stone wall and said coldly, I don't believe, then. She threw the electric ball in her hand and it hit the stone wall. It could be seen that the attack this time was stronger than the previous one. Another explosion was heard, and dust flew up again. However, to everyone's disappointment, this time, there was no need to repair it. The stone wall was completely intact. Wu Yen quickly stopped Mikoto when he saw that she was about to take out a token and fire a railgun. Forget it, Mikoto, no matter how much you attack, it will still grow back. Let's observe carefully before we take action. Hearing Wu Yan's words, Mikoto could only retract her electric current. She looked at the stone wall as if she was looking at her nemesis and gritted her teeth. This damned wall is so annoying. Shoujo sighed and knocked on her head in frustration. This attack is useless and there's no way out. What should we do? Wu Yan's eyes flashed helplessly. Ikaros, who had been calculating since the beginning, stopped her complicated calculations and pulled Wu Yan's sleeve. She pointed in a direction and said to Wu Yan, "Master, there are some words." Before Wu Yan could react, Mikoto ran over impatiently. Hinajuku quickly brought Liren along with her. Wu Yan yelled out and helplessly pulled Ikaros along as well. What Wu Yan didn't see is that when he pulled Ikaros' hand, Ikaros's eyes flashed a few times. She looked at the two hands holding each other and her free hand touched her chest. What a strange feeling. Destroy this stone wall in an instant and the exit will appear. The group of 5 looked at the words written on the wall and exchanged glances. Destroy this place in an instant. Shoujo opened her arms wide like she wanted to hug the entire stone wall. She forced a smile. Destroy it all? It's no wonder she reacted this way. This place isn't very big, but to destroy it in an instant, at least she doesn't think she can do it. Wu Yan was also troubled. If he wanted to destroy the wall, he could do it, but to destroy this place in an instant is no doubt a pipe dream. At least for now, he can't do it. Plus, he only has one large area of effect attack, and that's not enough. Wu Yan and Shoujo felt that they couldn't do it, so they looked at Mikoto. Feeling Wu Yan and Shoujo's gaze, Mikoto suddenly felt the pressure and smiled awkwardly. If you want me to destroy a place, I can. But if I destroy everything here, looking around the stone wall, Mikoto could only smile bitterly. The railgun's advantage is its penetrative power, but it's not good for area of effect attack. We don't know where this place is, there's no way to summon lightning. In fact, Wu Yan didn't intend to rely on Mikoto cannon. After all, he knew her from the bottom to the bottom and didn't have much hope in her. Although Sis Cannon was displeased, she didn't have a large area of effect attack. She could have used Thunder Strike, but this place looked like a secret chamber. Who knew if it was under the sky? She didn't even know if it was under the sky. If it's not under the sky, then lightning strike won't come. Plus, this place is so sealed, it's hard to say if they can sense the electromagnetic force in the sky. Thus, Wu Yan turned to Ikaros, who is standing beside him. This is also why he wasn't in a hurry. If Ikaros didn't have a large area of effect attack, then she wouldn't be Ikaros. She's the Queen of War. Ikaros, can you do it? Ikaros raised her head. Her eyes were calm, but everyone felt that the atmosphere had changed. They could also feel a sense of pressure from Ikaros' body. Ikaros didn't answer, but Wu Yan already knew what she wanted to say. Please, Ikaros. Yes. Master. Chapter 82. In front of Wu Yan, Shoujo, Mikoto, and Liren's eyes, Ikaros took a few steps forward. At the same time, her body emitted a dazzling light. Variable Wing System Restriction, remove. At this moment, Ikaros' voice was no longer soft and soft. Instead, it's mechanical and old-fashioned. As the light flashed, Ikaros' casual dress slowly faded away. A set of white light armor slowly appeared on the surface of Ikaros' body, covering her whole body. Her pink wings spread out, filling everyone's vision with feathers. The pink wings emitted a faint blue light. With a stretch, they turned into a pair of light wings, gently fluttering behind Ikaros' back. Sky Queen mode. On. Her indigo pupils turned a deep red. A circle of light floated above Ikaros's head. Her hair also expanded a little. This series of changes happened in less than a second. At this time, Shoujo, Mikoto, and Liren were all stunned. Even Wu Yen was a little dazed. If the usual Ikaros was a pure and beautiful angel sent down by the heavens to appease the world, then at this moment, Ikaros was a god who was angered by mortals and wanted to punish them for their foolishness. This is the true form of Ikaros, the angel of war, the queen of the sky. Wu Yen, Shoujo, and Mikoto could feel the endless pressure coming from Ikaros. This is the aura of a true powerhouse. Even Mikoto felt like she's nothing but an ant in front of Ikaros. The difference between a Tier 8 and a Tier 7 can be seen from this. No matter how complicated Wu Yen and the rest felt, Ikaros doesn't have the ability to read people's minds. She only knows that her master told her to destroy this place. The light wings behind Ikaros didn't move at all. Just like that, Ikaros flew to the center of the stone ground. Artemis, permanent homing missile. Like a voice from the heavens, countless missiles appeared out of thin air around Ikaros's wings. Under her control, with a flap of her wings, the missiles were sent flying out. Boom! 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 The missiles flew out from all directions and bombarded the stone ground, creating a series of continuous explosions. The stone walls that were blasted apart were blown to smithereens. Not even a speck of dust was left behind. Wa! Hinajuku, Mikoto, and Liren let out a scream. The stone floor was shaking under Ikaros' attack. The three slender girls swayed left and right, their bodies couldn't stabilize for a moment. Wu Yan's expression turned serious and with a wave of his hand, he pulled the three slender bodies into his chest that is a lot fatter than theirs. His expression is serious, as for his heart, not taking advantage of the situation, bastard. For some reason, Ikaros's indiscriminate attack didn't hit Wu Yan's location. But that didn't stop the stone ground from collapsing. All the stone walls collapsed, they shattered so much that even the glass beads are bigger than them. The ground where Wu Yen and company are standing on was also unavoidably shattered by the tremors. Oh my God! When the ground cracked, Wu Yen missed a step and tilted his body. He couldn't control his body anymore. Taking a look below, Wu Yen was scared out of his wit. Underneath the cracked ground, there's a bottomless hole. Ah! The three girls screamed again. Even Wu Yen screamed in pain as they all fell down. Master! Ikaros's light wings turned and shot downwards. In an instant, she was behind Wu Yen and hugged him. Only then did Wu Yan's group avoid the tragic fate of falling to their deaths. F***ck me. Wu Yen cursed as he stared at the ground that he couldn't see. He cursed in his mind. I was wondering why there would be such a kind reminder in this treasure trove. Turns out it's a trap. And such a big one at that. If it wasn't for Ikaros, we would have fallen to our deaths. Wu Yen tightened his grip on Shoujo and Mikoto so he wouldn't accidentally let go of them. He couldn't help but gulp in relief. That's right, no matter what, this is a treasure trove. They wouldn't have put the treasure here with the intention of letting others take advantage of it. So there must be a trap. This is too high. Even the brave sis cannon felt a chill down her spine. She hugged little Liren tightly and stuttered. Liren, on the other hand, wasn't afraid after the initial scream. She widened her little eyes and looked down. Tsk. As for Shoujo, well, she couldn't help but roll her eyes and faint. Let me say this again, President is afraid of heights, President is afraid of heights. Because it's important, I have to say it twice. Thank you, Ikaros. Adjusting his thumping heart, Wu Yen thanked Ikaros gratefully. Thank you, Ikaros, Sister Ikaros. Ikaros didn't seem to react to everyone's thanks. She just stood there stunned. But Wu Yen knew she didn't know how to deal with such a situation. As a life form created as a weapon, it's obvious to normal people. But for Ikaros, it's definitely a first. This made Wu Yen secretly decide to protect this angelic girl well. Well, for now, it's not certain who's going to protect who. Even in the future, Wu Yen might not be able to compete with her. After all, even if Wu Yen is the main character, self-proclaimed, Ikaros is also the female lead in her world. That's why when Wu Yen and Mikoto thanked her, Ikaros couldn't act like she didn't know what to do. But her eyes flickered a little and she said, yes, in a small voice. Is Shoujo okay? Mikoto blushed a little at being hugged by Wu Yen. But when she looked at Shoujo and saw her rolling her eyes, she couldn't help but feel embarrassed. She should be fine, probably. Wu Yan's mouth twitched, a little speechless. What do we do now? Mikoto looked at the darkness below and asked Wu Yen. What else can we do? We can't go up, there's no reason to give up just because of a little trick. So we can only go down. Thinking about the consequences of following that hint, Wu Yan's teeth itched. He's itching to skin the bastard who set this up. Here again, it's clear that Wu Yen is a very stingy person. That's all we can do. Helplessly sighing, Mikoto looked at little Liren, who's still looking down with great interest. She secretly admired her courage, looking down from such a high place. It's very disturbing. Then let's go down quickly. Otherwise, when Shoujo wakes up, she might faint again. Wu Yen ridiculed. Mikoto could only laugh dryly and little Liren giggled. Go down, Ikaros. Yes, Master. Ikaros's pupils have returned to their original indigo color. Her light wings have turned back into a beautiful light pink color. The halo on her head disappeared and her hair became smooth again. However, she's still wearing that revealing white light armor. Those two large mounds pressed against Wu Yan's back, making him feel good inside. After all, there's no need to use force. If it's just flying, she can do it in normal mode. Using Sky Queen mode to fly is a bit of a waste. Under Ikaros's lead, they flew down. Looking at Mikoto, who's secretly swallowing her saliva, and little Liren, who doesn't seem to care, then looking at Shoujo, whose eyes are still spinning, Wu Yen suddenly had an idea. Should he take advantage of Kaishu-sama's unconscious state to take advantage of her? This is a very serious question. Chapter 83. Wu Yen felt that after jumping into so many traps in his life, he should be good at dealing with trap. But today Wu Yen felt that his previous thoughts were too sweet. Even though he didn't know how much time has passed, but from the way Wu Yan's arms are weak from carrying girls around, it's clear that it hasn't been a short period of time. But still, there's no end in sight, it's like a bottomless pit. Not only is it big, it's deep enough to send chills down one's spine. Even after flying for so long, there's still no end in sight. Just as Mikoto was about to complain, Wu Yan's eyes lit up. Ikaros! Stop! Spreading her wings, Ikaros braked and came to a steady stop. What are you doing, so sudden? Mikoto rubbed her head and gave Wu Yen a dissatisfied look. That sudden braking caused her to hit Wu Yan's chin. She didn't think about who would be more hurt from the collision. Take a look at the walls. The stone walls that didn't change in the slightest are now filled with countless holes. They're densely packed like a hornet's nest, and they're all the same size. A weak wind blew from the tens of thousands of holes and gathered at the center of the giant pit. Who knows how the wind changed direction, but the wind all strangely flowed away. You can see the wind with your naked eye, but it didn't touch your body at all. This scene surprised Wu Yen, and Company Mikoto turned to look at the countless holes until she felt dizzy. She retracted her gaze, speechless. So many holes, and they're all the same, which one should we enter? Wu Yen frowned when he heard Mikoto, and he turned to ask Ikaros. Ikaros, can you see if there's any hole that's special, different from the others? Ikaros immediately activated her Sky Queen mode's crimson-red pupils. One could see a lot of light flowing through her crimson-red pupils and swirling around the holes. Calculation results, similarity 99%, 0 error. In other words, all of them are the same? Wu Yen couldn't help but have a headache. Even Ikaros couldn't find anything in these holes, let alone him. He believed Mikoto was the same. At this moment Shoujo, who was in Wu Yan's arms, moaned. Hearing this moan, how could Wu Yan not know that the president was about to wake up? If he woke up at this time, he would definitely faint again. At that moment, Wu Yan hurriedly said, "Forget it, just go in and take a look." This idea was immediately approved by Mikoto and Liren. After being carried for so long, they were starting to feel a little uncomfortable. If they continued to fly, they didn't know how long it would take. Waiting any longer wasn't a solution. Ikaros blankly glanced at the numerous holes and randomly chose the nearest one and flew in. When they landed, Wu Yan and Mikoto sighed in relief. At the same time, Shoujo woke up. Looking blankly at Wu Yan and Ko surrounding her, Shoujo slowly sat up. "Yen, Mikoto, why are you guys looking at me like that?" Being stared at by so many people, even the domineering president felt a little unnatural. "Oh right, just now. There was nothing just now. Shoujo, it's better if you don't think about it." Wu Yan felt helpless against the president's fear of heights. That's why he patted Shoujo's shoulder and said with deep meaning. Ignoring the question marks on Kaisha-sama's head, Mikoto and Liren, who were trying not to laugh, Wu Yan stood up and looked into the hole. Other than the stone walls surrounding the cave, there's nothing else special about the cave. He scratched his palm. "Let's go in deeper, maybe we can find a way out." "Since you made a treasure map, why didn't you mark out the location of the treasure?" Mikoto complained. Wu Yan could only bitterly smile. Barging into someone's treasure trove, can't find the way out, and now she's complaining about the owner of the treasure. Sis Cannon sure is in the mood. The group of 5 once again set off. Fortunately, this hole wasn't as cratered as the previous one. At least it wasn't endless. After a while, Wu Yan's group walked out of the hole. Well, it's not that they walked out, but they found a way out. The 3 teleportation circles in front of them, exchanging glances, Wu Yan led Mikoto and Ko to the 3 teleportation circles. "Which one should we take?" Shoujo played with her hair and asked directly. "These 3 teleportation circles are exactly the same, how should we choose?" Mikoto sighed. She couldn't see any difference between the 3 circles. Sizing up the 3 circles again, Wu Yan was helpless. He had no choice but to use the same method he used before. "That's true, they're exactly the same. Why don't we just pick one like before?" "That's the only way." Everyone sighed in unison. They were already pondering in their hearts. Was it a mistake to choose to interfere this time? The moment they stepped on the circle, it activated. With a flash of light, Wu Yan's group was teleported away. The scene that appeared in front of Wu Yan's group shocked them. This. Mikoto couldn't help but take a few steps back. Her face paled. Hinajuku immediately pulled Liren into her arms and covered her eyes. She closed her eyes too, she couldn't bear to watch anymore. Wu Yan's face was also green. Corpses. There are corpses everywhere. And all of them are the corpses of the people who came to search for treasure. These corpses were densely packed on the ground, their bodies were pierced by numerous stone spikes. Blood flowed all over the ground. Some were even nailed to the wall by the spikes. Some were unlucky enough to have their heads pierced by the spikes. Looking at the corpses in front of them, other than Ikaros and Liren, who was obediently lying in Shoujo's arms, Wu Yan's group couldn't help but take a few deep breaths. Even the air smelled of blood. After all, the people who died here were almost 70% of the people who came to search for treasure. What the hell is going on here? Why did they become like this? Even though it wasn't the first time they saw corpses, Mikoto and Shoujo still couldn't react. They came together not long ago, rode on the same airship, entered the treasure trove together. But now these people are all dead. So, the 2 kind girls couldn't accept it. They bit their lips tightly. If they used any more force, their lips would be bitten open. Why did so many people die? What happened to them? Wu Yan clenched his fists and his face turned green. It's not that he's a coward, it's because the unknown is the scariest. Before he can figure out the cause of death of these people, even if it's Wu Yen, he's still a bit scared. Crack, crack, crack. Suddenly, a series of caw-caw sounds rang out as if something had cracked open. It was originally very weak, but as time passed, the caw-caw sounds became louder and more frequent. In the end, it became a continuous series of caw-caw sounds. What is that sound? In front of them are countless corpses, on the ground is a river of blood. In such an environment, to suddenly hear a strange sound would make anyone's heart beat faster, let alone a girl. Shoujo and Mikoto couldn't help but move closer to Wu Yen. Their bodies began to lean against him. They kept looking around, trying to find the source of the sound. Wu Yen was a bit embarrassed, but he's a man who's been through a lot. If he can't be relied on by women at this time, then he really doesn't deserve to be called a man. Blocking in front of the two girls, Wu Yan's sword and scabbard appeared in his hand. Wu Yen held the hilt with one hand and sheathed the sword at his waist. Shoujo, Mikoto, don't get too far away from me. Let's observe the situation and take care of the little girl. Ikaros, take care of Shoujo and Mikoto. Got it. Yes, Master. At this time, the source of the sound finally appeared in front of Wu Yan's group. Chapter 84. Next to the pile of corpses, the rocks that Wu Yen and the rest thought were normal rocks started to vibrate. At this time, Wu Yen and the rest noticed that the strange caw-caw sound was coming from the rocks. More and more stones began to tremble, and after a series of caw-caw sounds, the surface of the seemingly ordinary stones actually began to crack open. Wu Yen hugged the girls and took a few steps back, staring at the rocks on the ground. The Nietono Shana in his hand had already been pulled out by a small section. At some point, the caw-caw sound on the rocks suddenly stopped, and the rocks behind them also calmed down. But Wu Yen and the rest didn't think that nothing had happened. The sounds on the rocks did stop, but the rocks were still vibrating. Mikoto, who was standing behind Wu Yen, had a bad feeling, but as soon as it appeared, she calmed down and immediately spoke. Something's coming. Just as she spoke, a muffled sound rang out, and Wu Yen and the rest saw a spider. A spider made of rocks, and bigger than a child. After a muffled sound, the trembling stones on the ground exploded, and such a stone spider crawled out from the exploded stones, trembling in fear. When it raised its hideous face, Hinajuku and Mikoto both gulped. If it wasn't for the fact that they've seen demons 10 times more hideous than this in the demon cave, they would have screamed out loud. A series of muffled sounds began to ring out, as if someone was setting off firecrackers. Every time a muffled sound rang out, it would be accompanied by the explosion of a rock. Then, similar spiders would crawl out of the rock. Small stone spider. Level 30 stone spider. Level 35 large stone spider. Level 40, an army of stone spiders lined up on the ground in a disorderly manner. Some of them were relatively small, but they were still a dozen times larger than normal spiders. These were the small stone spiders that crawled out from small rock. Some were several times larger than the small stone spiders that crawled out from larger rock. However, there were a few that were even larger than a child. They were the large stone spiders that crawled out from the largest rocks. These are the cause of those people's deaths. Seeing the appearance of these spiders, Shoujo and Mikoto were no longer afraid. Of course, the unknown is the scariest, and when the unknown appears, the fear in one's heart lessens. As for Shoujo and Mikoto, who have seen the monster army, they wouldn't be scared by mere spiders. Even though there are girls who are afraid of these insects, and Mikoto and Shoujo are one of them, if they really had to face them, they would only feel a little disgusted. Before Wu Yen could reply, Ikaros, who was standing behind Wu Yen, took the lead and walked out. Deep red pupils appeared in Ikaros's eyes. She looked at all the spiders and said softly, "Don't worry, I'll kill you." Unknown life form detected, hostility confirmed, strength D, danger C, determined to cause damage to master, eliminating it. Variable wings restriction lifted. Sky Queen mode on. The powerful Sky Queen Ikaros once again appeared in front of Wu Yan's group. Her blue wings of light unfurled, and Ikaros faced the spiders with her back facing Wu Yan's group. Her calm voice rang in Wu Yan's ears. "Master, Ikaros is about to attack. Please retreat to a safe area." Hearing Ikaros's words, Wu Yan was stunned for a moment, then he smiled, but it was a strange smile. Wu Yan didn't listen to Ikaros and retreat. Instead, he stood beside Ikaros and under Ikaros' puzzled gaze, he rubbed Ikaros's fluffy hair after entering Sky Empress mode. "Ikaros, your master, I'm not just your master." Ignoring the stunned Ikaros, Wu Yan walked in front of Ikaros and he lifted the Neotono Shana. He chuckled. "I'm not some weakling, I can fight. Ikaros, I hope you remember that I'm not just your master, I'm also your comrade who will share life and death with you. Since we're comrade in life and death, how can I be left out of the battle? How can I let a girl like you charge into battle alone?" Her eyes flashed. Ikaros looked at her master's back and lowered her head. "I understand I can't. It doesn't matter if you don't understand, Ikaros. Just remember what I said today, one day you'll understand." Repeating Wu Yan's words twice in her mind, Ikaros replied in a soft voice. "Yes, sir. Master. Don't forget about me." Shoujo and Mikoto, who were reduced to background since the beginning, couldn't help but shout. Making their presence known, Mikoto took a big stride to Wu Yan's side, her face showing some dissatisfaction. "You said comrade in life and death should fight together, in the end you still forgot about us." Wu Yan's face started to turn awkward, he half-heartedly said. Well, well, don't mind the details. So our existence is just a detail." While saying this, Mikoto's body started to glow with electricity. "Stop fooling around, they're coming over." Seeing Wu Yan and Mikoto fooling around like there's no one else around, Shoujo rolled her eyes at them and quickly reminded them. While they were talking, the spiders were already closing in on Wu Yan's group with their long, thin legs. But they seemed to have sensed that Wu Yan's group wasn't as easy to bully as the ones they killed before, so their speed was very slow. "Mikoto, Shoujo, remember to protect the little girl." Seeing this, Wu Yan put away his playful smile and turned serious. The stone spiders in front of him are no different from the monster army from before in terms of both quantity and quality. Of course, he wouldn't dare to be careless. But he wasn't as cautious as before. After all, the quality and quantity were the same. But Wu Yan's group was different. Not to mention that Wu Yan was only level 30 at that time, even Shoujo was level 35 now. Although they had to take care of little Liren at the same time, it didn't affect them at all. After all, they had the goddess of war on their side. "Shoujo, don't go too far away, take care of the little girl. And Mikoto, don't charge, stay beside Shoujo and the others so that you can take care of them." Shoujo and Mikoto nodded silently, indicating that they understood. After a long time without seeing Wu Yan's group move, the spiders who weren't very intelligent started to get impatient. And so, the spiders opened their mouths and spat towards Wu Yan's group. Stone spikes shot out from their mouths, attacking Wu Yan's group. Aegis. Absolute Defense Circle. Ikaros appeared in front of Wu Yan's group in an instant. Facing the stone spikes that blotted out the sky, Ikaros spoke softly and a blue transparent barrier formed in front of her. All the stone spikes landed on Ikaros' absolute defense, but they didn't even cause the slightest ripple, let alone break it. After a series of cracking noises, all the stone spikes were blocked by the absolute defense. Just from this scene alone, Wu Yan could see that Ikaros' absolute defense circle was also a C-grade equipment, but in terms of defense, it was above his mental dragon armor. But the real advantage of the mental dragon armor was that it was a completely automatic defense. It didn't need Wu Yan to control it. Even if Wu Yan himself couldn't react in time, the mental dragon armor would automatically open up, unlike the absolute defense circle which required Ikaros to use it. Artemis, permanent rear-end missile. The barrier was retracted by Ikaros in a blink of an eye. Almost at the same time, the rear-end missile was fired, blowing up the front line of spiders. Chapter 85. What destructive power! What an AoE attack! This wasn't the first time Wu Yen saw Ikaros's homing missiles, but seeing it again, he couldn't help but mutter in his heart. As expected of the Angel of War, the strongest Sky Queen under Ikaros's homing missiles, the stone spiders were smashed to pieces, leaving behind a pile of rocks. Wu Yen wondered if these spiders were actually spiders, or stone. As soon as the spiders in the front line were killed, the spiders in the back rushed forward like a swarm of bees. They stepped on the bodies of their companions, as well as the bodies of the treasure hunters, and rushed towards Wu Yan's group. Wu Yan's eyes narrowed and with a lift of his feet, he charged towards the spiders. The distance between Wu Yan and the spiders was just a short while before they encountered each other. Facing a giant stone spider charging at him, Wu Yan raised his hand and smashed it into the spider's disgusting face, sending it flying. As soon as the large stone spider was sent flying, a few spiders and smaller ones brushed past the body of the large stone spider. With a leap, they opened their mouths and shot several stone spikes at Wu Yan. With a flash of silver light, Wu Yan pulled out the Neotono Shana and with a horizontal swing, he smashed all the stone spikes into pieces. The stone spiders and smaller ones that jumped over were cut in half by Wu Yan with a few swings of his blade. The sound of wind came from behind Wu Yan. Wu Yan had just killed a few spiders, and he didn't have time to pull back his sword. Several spiders attacked Wu Yan from behind. At the critical moment, Wu Yan turned around, and a black sword minced all the incoming spiders, leaving no trace behind. In Wu Yan's left hand, which should have been empty, a black katana appeared out of thin air. The blade was pitch black, and if one looked closely, they could see that the blade was vibrating at an extremely high frequency. Hefting the black blade in his left hand, Wu Yan nodded in satisfaction. This iron sand sword created with superpower coupled with high vibration speed, in terms of sharpness, compared to the armaments of the masses, it's not inferior in any way. With two swords in hand, Wu Yan swung them twice, and another two spiders were cut in half. He then charged into the group of spiders, and with each swing, he killed a spider. In an instant, a large number of spiders died under Wu Yan's sword. With the Kendo Mastery ability, using two swords was a piece of cake. If it wasn't for the fact that the iron sand sword was as sharp as a common armament and it could be made at any time, Wu Yan wouldn't have put the Kusanagi sword up in the auction house. Using someone else's ability, and using it so happily, Mikoto was still standing in the same spot, protecting Liren. As long as there were spiders that attacked, they would all be electrocuted by Mikoto. At first, Mikoto was worried that these spiders were made of stone, and that her electrocution wouldn't work. Reality proved that the spiders were somewhat immune to Mikoto's electrocution. It wasn't until Mikoto increased her electrocution to LV5 that the spiders were electrocuted. She took the time to glance at Wu Yan, and saw him holding the iron sand sword in one hand and the iron sand sword in the other, and was happily killing the spiders. Mikoto's mouth twitched. Of course, Mikoto was just jealous of someone's luck. After all, it took her a few years to level up her superpower to LV4. Unlike Wu Yan, with just a card he was able to steal the fruit of someone's hard work for several years. Not only that, he used it so skillfully, the iron sand sword is more useful in his hands than in her own. Luckily this person is Wu Yan. If it was anyone else, Mikoto would definitely challenge him to a duel. Yan's swordsmanship is really good. Shoujo was standing not far from Mikoto, and the white cherry in her hand danced as she cut down a level 30 spider. Just from this one move, it was clear that Shoujo's strength was much stronger than when she was in the demon cave. She was even stronger than Wu Yan at that time. Of course, Shoujo didn't think that her swordsmanship was as good as Wu Yan's. After all, Wu Yan directly received the Kendo Mastery ability, and his swordsmanship was comparable to those kendo masters who spent their entire lives practicing their swordsmanship. Shoujo, on the other hand, had only been learning swordsmanship for a few years. I need to get stronger quickly, otherwise, when the day comes, I won't even have the right to stand next to him, let alone. Hinagika's face turned red as she thought of something, making her look very cute. A strong electric current suddenly flashed by Shoujo's side, and turned a large spider that was about to ambush Shoujo into dust. It also gave Kaisha-sama a fright. What are you doing, Shoujo? Spacing out at a time like this? Not far away, Mikoto retracted her lightning arm and shouted at Hinagiku, her voice full of ridicule. It's rare to see Kaisha-sama spacing out like this. Shoujo's face turned red again, and she quickly put on a serious face to deal with the incoming spiders. Compared to Wu Yen and Hinagiku or even Mikoto, Ikaros is a lot sharper in her attack. Floating in the air, Ikaros's crimson eyes lit up with 2 circles of light, and like a sniper rifle's scope, she scanned the spiders below. Every time Ikaros chose a position, a large number of missiles would appear behind her. With a thought, the missiles would rapidly bombard the numerous stone spiders. Every shot would kill a group of stone spiders. It could be said to be extremely sharp. If it wasn't for the fact that she was worried about Wu Yan's group, Ikaros, who only cares about her master's safety, might have pulled out Apollo under the forest slaughter. The number of spiders kept decreasing, and decreasing. By the time the last spider died under Wu Yan's blade, only 10 minutes had passed. Realizing this result, other than Ikaros and Lirin, Wu Yan, Shoujo, and Mikoto were a little dazed. The number of spiders is terrifying, even compared to the time when they fought against the demon army in the demon cave. This number isn't any weaker, and their strength is even scarier than the time they fought against the demon army. Such a terrifying group of monsters, in the end, could not even last 10 minutes under the attack of their side. Last time, the battle went on for several hours. Even Resplendent Breath couldn't last until the end of the battle. Wu Yen and the other 2 had to take the brunt of the attack head-on. But this time, they finished it within 10 minutes. Although, without Ikaros's combat power, they wouldn't be able to win so easily. Still, Wu Yen and Co. couldn't help but feel excited. Because this means they've become stronger. Last time, Wu Yen was level 30, Tier 4, wielding a common armament, sword mastery, and chaotic return to Horizon Dance. This time, Wu Yen was level 50, Tier 6, wielding 2 rare armaments, sword mastery, chaotic return to Horizon Dance, and Electromaster, LV4. Wu Yan's strength has indeed become a lot stronger. Last time, Shoujo was level 18, Tier 3, wielding a common armament. This time, even though she's wielding her own Shoujo, but this time, she's level is 35, Tier 4. Her strength has improved, there's no doubt about it. As for Mikoto, even though the difference between the 2 battles is only 1 level, her improvement isn't as big as Wu Yen and Shoujo's, but it's not small either. After all, the difference between 2 high tiers, even though it's not that big, it can't be that small, right? This set of data, plus this incisive battle, is telling Wu Yan's group, you've become stronger. In his excitement, Wu Yen let out a long laugh towards the sky, revealing the joy in his heart. As for Mikoto and Shoujo, of course, they're not as relaxed as Wu Yen, they're girls after all. Both of them just looked at each other and smiled, expressing their happiness. Little Lirin's eyes were covered by a handkerchief so she couldn't see the corpses on the ground, but Wu Yan's sudden laughter gave her a fright. She's patting her chest cutely. Ikaros tilted her head, there's a few question marks on it, looking at her master going crazy. Chapter 86. After a while, Wu Yen finally stopped laughing. He rubbed the corner of his mouth, that was hurting from all the laughing. The joy in his eyes was still there, but it was more or less gone. Because Wu Yen knows that even though they've gotten stronger, there's still a long way to go before they're truly strong. His path to becoming strong can only be considered to have just started recently. Shoujo and Mikoto also understand this logic. Not to mention Shoujo, Even Mikoto felt that she's still far behind. Whether it's Ikaros in front of them or Accelerator in Academy City, they're all much, much stronger than her. If she wants to save her sisters, she'll have to at least reach rank 8 level 70 before she's qualified. Of course, that's only qualified. After all, even if she can defeat Accelerator in the future, in order to save her sisters, she'll have to be prepared to become enemies with the entire Academy City. Wu Yen did say that the sisters are an important part of Alistair's plan. If he wants to save them, he will have to make an enemy out of Alistair, the angel that Wu Yen said is Alistair's ally, and he will have to make an enemy out of the entire Academy City. He had to become even stronger. As for Shoujo, her reason for wanting to get stronger is much simpler. She wants to catch up to Wu Yen and be qualified to stand by Wu Yan's side. That's all she wants to get stronger. Shoujo looked at the corpses on the ground and frowned. She hugged the well-behaved little Liren and said, "Yen, let's leave this place quickly." "I don't like this place." Mikoto also frowned. She glanced at the corpses on the ground and immediately looked away. She looked at Wu Yen and waited for Wu Yen to make a decision. "Okay, let's move on." Knowing that Shoujo and Mikoto still can't face this kind of scene, Wu Yen decisively said, "Since the cause of death of these corpses is clear, there's no need to keep them here." Wu Yan's group was very careful as they walked on the stone path. The corpses on the ground could be said to be scattered all over. Even if Wu Yan's group had walked a long way, there were still many corpses on the ground. It could be said that the entire stone path was filled with corpses. Although the number of corpses decreased significantly as they walked, Wu Yan's group's heart was raised even higher. Because as Wu Yan's group went deeper, the number of corpses on the ground decreased, but the strength of the corpses increased. In the beginning, the corpses they saw were those below rank 5. As Wu Yan's group went deeper, the corpses on the ground became stronger. So much so that even the rank 6 that Wu Yan's group thought to have the strength to harm them were dead. Rank 6, that's the same level as Wu Yan. There were only about 100 of them in this treasure hunting party. What's more frightening is that Wu Yan's group saw more than 30 rank 6 corpses along the way. That's almost a third of the rank 6 corpses. How can Wu Yan's group not be vigilant when so many rank 6 corpses died in this party? So, along the way, Wu Yen, Shoujo, and Mikoto were constantly using system perception. Ikaros even alternated between using system perception and her own perception, constantly scanning the surroundings to prevent anything from happening to Wu Yan's group. Perhaps only little Liren was the most relaxed. Previously, in order to not leave Wu Yan's group, she forced Wu Yan's group to bring her along. Now that she's here, in order to not cause trouble for her brothers and sisters, she was unusually obedient. She didn't say a word and just quietly stayed in Shoujo's embrace. Because of this, Wu Yen agreed to bring her along. Of course, just being obedient was enough to keep Wu Yen from bringing along a powerless little Liren. If it wasn't for the items he exchanged from the system yesterday that could guarantee that nothing would happen to little Liren, no matter what, Wu Yen wouldn't have brought her along. The stone path isn't a straight path either. Instead, it twists and turns. Wu Yen and Ko are getting dizzy from all the twists and turns. Just as Wu Yen and Ko made another turn, more stones appeared in front of them. This time, Wu Yan's group wasn't naive enough to think that they were ordinary stones. Stopping the party's pace, Wu Yan's group immediately took a few steps back. Even their nerves were stretched taut. There was no way they wouldn't be. Their previous experience had taught them that the bigger the stones, the bigger the stone spiders that came out from them. And now, the stones that appeared in front of Wu Yan's group were even bigger than the ones they had encountered before. At the same time, the stones once again made caw-caw sounds. After a series of muffled explosions, more stone spiders appeared in front of Wu Yan's group. Looking at the stone spiders in front of them, Wu Yan's group couldn't help but take another step back. All of them were giant stone spiders. All of them were level 40 stone spiders. Wu Yen smiled bitterly and rubbed his shoulders. With so many level 5 stone spiders, it was no wonder that even level 6 stone spiders had died. They must have been unlucky level 6 stone spiders that were surrounded. For the treasure hunting party to be able to reach this point, they must have killed a lot of stone spiders. They had the advantage in numbers, so the number of stone spiders they had killed was definitely more than what they had killed. Even so, there were still so many stone spiders coming out of the stones. How did they get through this stone path? But there was an 80 to 90% chance that they had forced their way through. After all, they had a dozen level 7 stone spiders and a few level 6 stone spiders. Otherwise, there was no way to explain why Wu Yan's group would still encounter stone spiders. They must have not killed all of them, so they broke through and escaped. At this time, Wu Yan was extremely glad that he still had Ikaros with him. Without Ikaros, Wu Yan's group would have to use the items they had exchanged for to leave this place safely. In a flash, the giant stone spiders, perhaps relying on their large size, charged towards Wu Yan's group with their long and thin stone legs. But no matter how fast they were, they couldn't be faster than Ikaros. Sky Queen mode activated, and Ikaros appeared in front of Wu Yan's group. Absolute Defense Circle was activated, and all of the giant stone spiders were sent flying back at a speed faster than the speed of their charge. Mikoto, now let's take care of them together. Wu Yan raised his hands, and electricity appeared in his palms. Under Wu Yan's control, electricity flowed into the ground, ignoring the hard stone ground and drilling directly into the ground. Seeing Wu Yan's actions, Mikoto understood what he wanted to do. She raised her hands as well, and blue-white electricity crackled. It was much stronger than the electricity in Wu Yan's hands. In a flash, Mikoto's electricity flowed into the ground as well. Under the guidance of Wu Yan and Mikoto's electricity, small particles rose from the ground and floated around Wu Yan and Mikoto, forming a huge wave that rolled up like the wind. Countless black iron greatswords formed in the air, floating above Wu Yan's group. The swords were pointed at the flying giant stone spiders. Before they hit the ground, Wu Yan and Mikoto threw out the iron sand swords. Ikaros's eyes flashed, and missiles as many as the iron sand swords appeared in the air. When Wu Yan's group threw out their iron sand swords, Ikaros also fired her missiles. Go! Iron sand swords! Artemis! Instantly, the iron sand swords flew back, and the missiles came flying. The giant stone spiders that were sent flying didn't even have time to hit the ground. They were either pierced full of holes by the iron sand swords or destroyed by the missiles. Seeing their companions die, the remaining giant stone spiders didn't retreat. Instead, they rushed forward as if they'd eaten Jinkala. Of course, these spiders didn't even get close before they were blown away by Ikaros' permanent homing missile. Wu Yan couldn't help but chuckle bitterly in his heart. Ikaros dealt with the Stonehenge army that was enough to cause a lot of trouble for him and the treasure hunters. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Ikaros really is the best fighter in a group battle. Chapter 87. Along the way, Wu Yan's group of 5 encountered no less than 10 waves of stone spiders. These stone spiders were all great stone spiders above level 40. Wu Yan couldn't help but curse the treasure hunting team in front of him. Why didn't they finish off all the spiders before leaving? Wu Yan's group didn't waste any time when they encountered these great stone spiders. They used their iron sand swords and permanent homing missiles to destroy them before they could even get close. If it weren't for the fact that the spiders had only emerged from the rock for a short period of time, Wu Yan would have finished them off before they came out of the rock. Of course, it wasn't without benefit. The chairman alone had risen to level 49, the pinnacle of stage 5. This was to be expected. The number of stone spiders they encountered this time was simply endless. Wu Yan didn't know how many had been killed by the treasure hunting team, but the number of spiders they had killed was definitely uncountable. Among them, there were a bunch of level 40 great stone spiders. With so many of them, If it wasn't for the fact that the gap between Stage 5 and Stage 6 was too thick, Shoujo might have broken through long ago. Thinking back, Wu Yan had relied on his ability feedback to reach level 50, Stage 6. Since Shoujo had risen to the pinnacle of Stage 5, Wu Yan naturally leveled up as well. Although none of the stone spiders were of a higher level than him, the sheer number of spiders had pushed him to level 55. Wu Yan couldn't help but sigh. They were all humans. While others had leveled up more than 10 times, he had leveled up 5 times. It seemed that the difference in experience between Stage 5 and Stage 6 was really huge. Wu Yan wanted to cry but had no tears. If Wu Yan wanted to cry, then Sis Cannon should find a higher place and jump off a building. He hadn't even leveled up once. After moving forward for a while, Wu Yan's group discovered another phenomenon. There were no more corpses on the ground. There are no more corpses on the ground. Shoujo let out an imperceptible sigh of relief. Even though she was no longer the same as before and had seen a lot of things, Shoujo still felt uncomfortable when there were corpses around. If there are no more corpses, then that means no one died. If no one died, then that means there are no more spiders in front of us, right? Mikoto brushed her bangs aside and said with a smile. Seeing that the two girls were happy that no one died, Wu Yan smiled inwardly. They were still so kind, Shoujo and Mikoto. Just as Wu Yan was about to say something, he felt someone tugging at his shirt. When Wu Yan turned around, he saw Ikaros tugging at his shirt and pointing to the front. Master, we've discovered a large number of life forms in front of us. Based on our preliminary calculations, it's the same team that set off together. Hearing this, Wu Yan and the others were stunned. We finally caught up to the previous team, Shoujo said. Ikaros spoke again. Master, a large number of life forms have encountered this group. Another large number of life forms? Is it the stone spiders? Ikaros. Wu Yan looked at Ikaros and said. Ikaros's eyes moved in the direction she was pointing at, then she shook her head and nodded. The life forms have the same reaction, but the energy levels are different. It's stronger than the previous ones. Hearing this, Wu Yan, Shoujo, and Mikoto looked at each other and said, the life forms have the same reaction, which means it's definitely the stone spiders, but stronger. Looks like the previous team has encountered something even more troublesome than the giant stone spiders. Yen, should we go help? Shoujo said immediately. Since they've encountered something even stronger than the giant stone spiders, then it should be easier to fight it together with the rest of the team. She doesn't want to fight the spiders that were already killed by others. Plus, she hasn't done anything since the start. It's no wonder the spiders were wiped out by Wu Yan, Mikoto, and Ikaros before they could even attack. Kaishu-sama doesn't have any long-range attacks, she only has swordsmanship. So, she's been lurking around, a classic example of leeching experience. But even if it's a good thing to leech experience, Kaishu-sama doesn't feel good about it. It feels like she's unnecessary. Mikoto was also itching for action. The stronger the spiders, the more experience they'll get. Along the way, Wu Yan and Shoujo both leveled up quite a bit. She's the only one who hasn't shown any signs of leveling up yet. So, when she saw Wu Yan and Shoujo leveling up, she was eager to level up as well. Wu Yan looked ahead, glanced at Ikaros, then at Shoujo and Mikoto. After some thought, he said, let's not be too hasty. Let's go check out the situation first. Check out the situation? Aren't we going to help? Mikoto sighed in disappointment at Wu Yan's words. Isn't that a little inappropriate? We came together after all. Shoujo walked up to Wu Yan's side and said hesitantly. If they went up and didn't help, the team wouldn't agree. With the mindset that one more person is one more cannon fodder, they'll force them to go up and kill the enemies. Wu Yan's group wasn't afraid. After all, they have a peak rank 7 Mikoto and a high rank 8 Ikaros. But even if there's no big trouble, there's bound to be a lot of small troubles. Who knows if they'll use their numbers advantage to trip them up? Of course, Wu Yen knew what Shoujo was trying to say. But personally, Wu Yen didn't support blindly going up to help. The team ahead is made up of countless smaller teams. There's no way they're united. They're bound to be suspicious of each other and try to trip each other up. Some of them even want everyone to die so they can take the treasure for themselves. Under such circumstances, if Wu Yan's group went up like this, it'll make the already murky water even dirtier. They might even get splashed on themselves. Let's wait and see. Wu Yan clapped his hand. He still thinks it's better for them to wait and see. But what if they force us to go up? Mikoto crossed her arms in front of her chest, lowered her head and thought for a while. Wu Yan laughed at Mikoto's words. About that, as long as they don't discover us, won't that be fine? Don't discover us. Shoujo and Mikoto were surprised. But this is a stone path. I believe the situation ahead is the same. There's no place to hide. How are we going to hide? Even if there's a place for us to hide, they have dozens of rank 7. Can we hide and not be discovered? Looking at Hinajuku and Mikoto who are talking, he laughed and puffed out his chest. The hermit has his own plans. With the system, nothing is impossible. I've prepared a lot of items before coming here. Now there's one item that can be put to good use. Oh! The two girls' eyes lit up. Of course they know how magical the system is, especially the items section. There's all kinds of strange items. The list of items has dazzled them before. Wu Yen didn't keep them in suspense. He took out a large cloak from his interspatial ring and held it in front of the two girls. What's this? Shoujo and Mikoto reached out their delicate hands and touched the cloak. They asked Wu Yen curiously. Can't you use the system's perception? Why don't you see for yourself? Waving the cloak in his hand, Wu Yen felt that rather than saying it himself, it's better for them to see it for themselves. The two girls looked at Wu Yen and doubtfully opened the system's perception. Cloak removal has the ability to conceal the existence and aura of everything within the cloak. 3,000 item points. In other words, it can make us invisible? Mikoto looked at the cloak with interest. She wanted to see if it was really that magical. Well, you can say it like that. Although the specifics are a bit lacking, it's not impossible to understand it this way. Wu Yen was too lazy to explain. How interesting! Shoujo said with a smile. Wu Yen was speechless. So to Kaishu-sama, this is only at the level of interesting? Chapter 88. At this moment, a chaotic battle was taking place on a slightly dark and wide stone path. A large group of armored warriors, some wielding swords, some wielding axes, and some wielding spears, were charging at the front. They were fighting a group of monsters here. These warriors would occasionally use battle techniques to deal damage to the enemies in front of them. As for those who just used battle techniques, they would wait for their do-chi to slowly recover while raising their weapons and attacking the enemies from time to time. Behind these people, there was a group of mages wearing light robes. Unlike the warriors who were fighting in close combat, their weapons were more similar. Almost all of them were magic staffs. Furthermore, they did not rush forward like their companions. Instead, they raised the magic staffs in their hands and muttered incantations. After chanting a spell, these magicians would shoot out fireballs, icicles, and wind blades to bombard their enemies from afar while also supporting the warriors in front of them. Compared to the simple battle techniques of the warriors, magicians have a variety of magic. What kind of scene would it be if a group of magicians were to use magic together? Just like in front of them, the sky was filled with wind, rain, lightning, and fire. Everything was dazzling. Instead of saying that they were fighting, this scene would make most people think that it was simply a banquet. And what were their enemies? Stone spiders. A group of stone spiders that were about the same height as an adult. When these giant stone spiders were fighting, they didn't have a clear division of labor and variety of attacks like the warriors and magicians who were fighting them. They only relied on their large bodies to charge at the enemies in front of them. Those who couldn't charge at them would raise their thin and long stone spider legs and wave them around nimbly. When they were charging around or engaging in close combat, these gigantic stone spiders would open their mouths wide enough to swallow a sheep at a warrior or mage from time to time. Then, they would shoot out stone awls from their mouth. The battle could be said to be extremely chaotic. Some stone spiders were chopped to death or directly smashed to death by a big move. Some stone spiders were smashed into pieces by spells like fireballs, icicles, and wind blades that fell from the sky. On the other hand, the warriors and magicians were not as brave. They also sacrificed their lives. On the ground, some were killed by the rampaging stone spiders, some were impaled by the stone spiders' long legs. Of course, there were also some unlucky ones who were directly hit by a stone awl. Among them, there was even a magician who was standing at the back. Stone Spider. Level 50. When they saw this information, Wu Yen and the others were stunned. Not for anything else, but because it was too strong. A level 6 stone spider. If there were as many stone spiders as there had been before, would there still be any results to this treasure hunt? Also, if this stone spider was already level 50 and combined with the previous ones, then who could guarantee that there wouldn't be stronger stone spiders? Level 7? Level 8? Or maybe, thinking up to this point, Wu Yen, Shoujo, and Mikoto's face became serious. If that was the case, then this treasure hunt was really dangerous. No wonder, even a level 9 powerhouse would run away with heavy injuries and die in the end. If Wu Yen didn't have items that could protect his life, then Wu Yen would have taken the girls and run away. After all, no matter how precious this treasure was, compared to their lives, as long as they weren't idiots, they would know what to choose. Although as long as Wu Yen didn't die, he could use the summoning points to revive Mikoto and the others. But, not to mention that Mikoto and the others were women he liked, even a man with a bit of heroic spirit wouldn't let a woman stay behind. Wearing a cloak, Wu Yen, Mikoto, Shoujo, Ikaros, and little Liren hid behind a stone spider in the corner and watched the battle. There were a lot of stone spiders. Of course, compared to the previous spiders, it was a lot less. But even so, there were about 100 of them. Against these 100 level 6 stone spiders, there was no doubt that the level 6 warriors would be the main force. They would be fighting in the front while the surviving level 5 and below warriors would be harassing the spiders from the sides, giving the level 6 warriors a chance to kill them in one hit. Under such circumstances, with the support of the group of mages behind them, the number of stone spiders was also decreasing. Originally, the number of rank 6 warriors was less than the number of rank 6 warriors, but now, the number of stone spiders was much lower than the number of rank 6 warriors. It was believed that if the battle continued, the large group would definitely be able to win. Have to say, even if they had the strength of a level 6, the intelligence of these spiders wasn't high. Against a team that knew how to cooperate, it was natural for them to be played around in circles. But this so-called trick of his made Hinajuku and Mikoto burn with rage when they saw it. He looked on helplessly as a Tier 6 warrior kicked a Tier 5 warrior in front of a stone spider and let the stone spider attack him. When the stone spider attacked the Tier 5 warrior, the Tier 6 warrior took the opportunity to use a battle skill and killed the stone spider. At this time, the Tier 5 warrior was already lying on the ground with his eyes open. Bastard! Shoujo and Mikoto couldn't hold back the anger in their hearts. They didn't care that they were hiding and directly curse it out loud. If it wasn't for the soundproofing effect of the cloak, Wu Yan's group would have been discovered. Wu Yan wasn't as impulsive as the two girls, but seeing this scene, he couldn't help but have a cold glint in his eyes. He looked at the level 6 warrior who was still fighting and didn't say anything. Those guys, it's fine if they don't help, but they're just watching this happen. Are they still human? Mikoto looked at the dozen or so level 7 warriors behind the battle and clenched her fist in anger. Is this the surname of the people of Silveria that Yen mentioned? The strong are respected? The weak are prey to the strong? If this world is really like this, then what Wu Yen said is right. Some people shouldn't be merciful. The cruel reality and everything that happened here were challenging his heart. At this moment, Kaishu-sama only felt that he was lucky to not be born in such a world. For the kind-hearted Hinagiku to say something like that, one can only imagine how angry she must be right now. Wu Yen sighed and gently hugged the two girls. Hinagiku and Mikoto flinched at the same time. Their angry faces turned red as they tried to struggle free. But since he's already hugged them, he's not going to let them go that easily. He lightly breathed in their ears. Shoujo and Mikoto's body trembled, their ears turned bright red and their strength to struggle weakened. Seeing the two girls like this, Wu Yen secretly smiled. Of course, his face was also smiling, but it wasn't as wretched as the smile in his heart. Shoujo, Mikoto, it's better if you don't look. At this point, Wu Yen couldn't help but stop smiling and sighed. Mikoto and Shoujo looked at each other, lowered their heads and became silent. After a while, Shoujo was the first to raise her head. Her yellow-green eyes met with Wu Yan's eyes. She didn't have the slightest intention of avoiding his gaze. She seriously said, "No, Yen, I want to see." Hearing Shoujo's words, Wu Yen didn't react. Instead, Mikoto looked at Shoujo and smiled, as if she knew the reason. "Why? There's no reason." Hinagiku lowered her head again and said, "We'll have to travel to more worlds in the future, not just this world, there's also Mikoto's world and other worlds. These worlds, there's bound to be things that can't be seen by others. When the time comes, Yen, you'll definitely enter and exit these places. So, rather than waiting to get used to it, why not now? Don't look at me, I'm the same. Not to mention, the world I'm in has some shady existences, I need to adapt even more." Seeing Wu Yen looking at her, Mikoto immediately said. After looking at Shoujo and Mikoto seriously for a while, Wu Yen sighed and pressed their heads into his arms. Smelling the fragrance in their hair, he softly said, "It's been hard on you too." Shoujo and Mikoto smiled and couldn't help but close their eyes, enjoying this rare moment of tenderness. Chapter 89. The chaotic battlefield did not turn for the better as more and more people were sacrificed. Both sides continued to fight. It seemed that the more lives they lost, the stronger their combat power became. They fought with more vigor. The shouts of the warriors, the roars of the monsters, the muffled sounds of bodies falling to the ground, and the screams of the dying at this time, almost all the warriors below rank 5 who came to search for treasures were dead. As for rank 5 warriors, although some of them survived tenaciously with their strength, some of them had already started to retreat in their hearts. Not to mention the grade 7 warriors who didn't save them, even the grade 6 warriors are using them as cannon fodder. If it wasn't for survival, who would be able to keep on fighting? The magicians are much better off. After all, they're only supporting from the back and didn't charge into the front lines like the warriors. Other than a small number of unfortunate deaths due to stray bullets, the magicians are basically unharmed. But this situation doesn't make Mikoto and Shoujo happy for them. Towards their dead comrades, these magicians didn't have the slightest bit of pity. Instead, they proudly raised their heads and didn't even look at the corpses on the ground. It's like they'll be sullied if they look at them. In the Spalier world, the status of a magician is far higher than that of a warrior. Because to become a magician, not only do you need to have super high talent, you also need to have a little bit of background to support the rise of a magician. That's because magicians are a profession that burns money. In the hands of a warrior, as long as they have 1 or 2 battle skills, they'll be able to keep on fighting. In a normal battle, they only need to wave their weapons and add a bit of dochi to create a very strong destructive force. However, mages were different. They could only use magic in battle. For them, 1 magic spell was equivalent to 1 more move. They couldn't be like warriors, wielding weapons. Therefore, a successful mage had to have at least a certain amount of magic on him. And each of these magic spells is equivalent to the price of a battle skill. One can only imagine how much money it would take to pile up enough magic spells to fight, in addition, to become a warrior. As long as one had a good physical condition and could practice fighting aura, even an ordinary person could become a warrior. Therefore, although there was not much difference in pure strength between a warrior and a magician of the same rank and level, in the hearts of these magicians, most of them looked down on the commoner warriors. Having a good background and talent would naturally make some mages arrogant. They would think that they were the superior species and that the warriors were just servants. Unless the warrior's strength had developed to a certain extent, such as reaching the 7th level, he could be considered a powerhouse. Then, these mages would be intimidated by the difference in strength, and would more or less restrain the arrogance in their hearts and be willing to interact with him as an equal. Of course, there are still some magicians with good character who won't look down on others, however. Wu Yen is sure that this group of people didn't include the mages who are holding their heads up high and thinking themselves to be the most honorable of all. Wu Yen didn't expect that among so many magicians, there wouldn't be a single good person. It's really inconceivable. Birds of a feather flock together. Seeing that the victory of the battle is leaning towards the humans, Wu Yen bitterly smiled and shook his head. He glanced at them again and suddenly frowned. Ikaros, can you sense the surroundings? Wu Yan's sudden voice stunned Ikaros. At the same time, Shoujo and Mikoto, who are still angry, were startled. They looked at Wu Yen with eyes full of doubt. Wu Yen didn't explain and signaled to Ikaros. Of course, Ikaros wouldn't go against Wu Yan's words. She opened her eyes and it's already dark red. Ikaros's eyes quickly scanned the surroundings. Suddenly, she froze and stopped moving. Did you find someone nearby? Seeing Ikaros's reaction, Wu Yen smiled and said, "Looks like he already guessed the result of Ikaros's scan." "Yes, master." Ikaros's eyes turned back to the indigo color. She looked at Wu Yen and whispered, "Life signature, not far from the other side of the stone path." Wu Yen couldn't help but curse when his guess was confirmed. What a group of insidious people! They even purposely hid themselves. If it wasn't for Ikaros's weak perception, how could she have been fooled by you guys? Good thing we found out, or else we'd be in big trouble. Wu Yen, who said this, apparently forgot that he and the others are also doing what Wu Yen called treacherous people, hiding at the side and watching the show. This made Hinajuku and Mikoto's eyebrows twitch and the corner of their mouths twitch. They couldn't stay calm. If it wasn't for the fact that this isn't the right time, the two girls would have given Wu Yen a good scolding. Hearing Ikaros confirm Wu Yan's guess, Shoujo and Mikoto couldn't help but be surprised. Then they saw Wu Yan smirk. Shoujo and Mikoto couldn't hold back their curiosity and asked, "Yen, how did you know there's someone hiding nearby? Didn't you guys notice?" As he spoke, Wu Yan's smile gradually disappeared. He narrowed his eyes and said word by word, "The auction house's people aren't here." This. The two girls immediately turned to look at the battlefield. Their little heads swung back and forth to confirm whether or not Wu Yan's words were true. After a while, the two girls looked at each other and looked at Wu Yan in surprise. "You're saying that the other group of people hiding is from the auction house?" Seeing Wu Yan nod, Mikoto quickly asked, "How did you find out?" Of course, Wu Yan wouldn't remind them of his perfect memory ability. That's why he was able to find out that there's no one from the auction house here. He only smiled and said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "The auction house's people are really up to something. Good thing we hid in advance." The two girls furrowed their lovely brows and continued to observe the battlefield. They were also on guard against another group of people who were hiding. Their intuition told them that the real purpose of the series of thought-provoking actions of the auction house was about to surface. The people on the battlefield naturally didn't know that they had become the guinea pigs for others to test the waters. They also didn't know that there were two groups of wolves eyeing them covetously, waiting for them to take out the meat. The stone spiders were forced to retreat under their onslaught. Many of them were already lying on the ground, dead. There were only 30 to 40 stone spiders left, and it seemed like they were about to be defeated. Everyone couldn't help but be shocked when they saw this situation. The warriors in the front row moved faster. The magicians also used all kinds of magic more frequently, hoping to defeat the spiders as soon as possible. But just as the spiders were about to be defeated, the stone spiders that were fighting with their lives on the line suddenly stopped and quickly retreated. "Master, a new life form is approaching." Knowing that she didn't find the other hidden group, Ikaros kept her senses on high alert. When the stone spiders retreated, Ikaros suddenly informed Wu Yen, Hinajiku, and Mikoto in surprise. The people on the battlefield obviously didn't notice anything strange. Seeing the stone spiders retreating, they thought they were scared and decided to retreat. Like they were injected with chicken blood, they picked up their weapons and prepared to give chase. Even the magicians were no exception. A grade 6 warrior who was laughing heartily and complacently was running at the front. He caught up with a stone spider and planned to kill it to show off his bravery. However, he did not realize that a thin black spear had shot out from the front like lightning. Before he could react, it pierced through his body. A black stone spider that was twice the size of the stone spider slowly crawled out from the darkness in front of them. Chapter 90. Black Stone Spider. Level 60. The black stone spider moved its long, thin legs and slowly crawled out of the shadows. It swung its long, spear-like legs and threw the unlucky person who had been pierced by it to the side before continuing to crawl forward. The warriors and magicians were all stunned by the sudden change in situation. They looked at the black stone spiders, which were twice as tall as they were, and couldn't react in time. They just stared blankly at the black stone spiders that were slowly crawling towards them. The retreating stone spiders acted as if they had seen a terrifying monster. They split into two halves and retreated one after another. As they retreated, another black stone spider crawled out of the shadows and arrived in front of everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the end, 10 black stone spiders crawled out of the shadows. It wasn't just the people on the battlefield. Even Wu Yen and the others couldn't help but be stunned. Looking at the tall black stone spiders, they were almost speechless. Just now, a warrior of the same level as Wu Yen was insta-killed by him. Although level didn't represent strength, and that rank 6 warrior was of the same level as Wu Yen, in a real battle, in front of Wu Yen who had 2 rare armaments, he was still nothing. Moreover, that rank 6 warrior had been careless, which was why he died so quickly. But this scene still made Wu Yan's heart go cold. 10 rank 7 black stone spiders. They were like a wall in front of everyone, their long legs swinging impatiently as if they would charge at any moment. Faint roars came from their mouths as they looked at the treasure hunters in front of them, their eyes filled with a berserk red light. Not good. These black stone spiders aren't on the same level as the previous ones. At the back of the treasure hunters, a dozen rank 7 powerhouses who were watching the entire process immediately knew that things weren't going well when they saw the 10 black stone spiders. They could feel the powerful aura and killing intent coming from these black stone spiders. They were on a completely different level from the previous ones. "I'm afraid it's at the 7th rank." One bald-headed old man, who seemed to be one of the higher-ups, eyed the spiders and spoke calmly to the rest of the Type 7 experts. "The opponent is a 7th grade magical beast. If we let those little fellows deal with it, they definitely won't be a match for it. Then what should we do?" One Type 7 middle-aged man looked at the bald old man and spoke coldly. "Are you going to send those cannon fodder to their deaths?" The Class 7s started to discuss among themselves. They didn't care about the 10 black stone spiders at all. They thought that even if they were of the same class as them, the other party was just a monster with low intelligence. Moreover, they had 15 Class 7s on their side. In terms of numbers, they outnumbered them. In a battle between cultivators of the same level, the outcome of the battle was self-evident with one more helper of the same level. In the end, it was the bald old man who made the final decision. "Destroy them. Those little guys are still useful." Don't let them die too quickly. Hearing this, the other Tier 7 powerhouses nodded and charged forward with combat chi or mana. The battle escalated in an instant. The battle escalated. The true danger of this treasure trove is about to appear. Wu Yan's nerves were on high alert. The appearance of the black stone spiders confirmed their previous guess. These monsters that weren't magical beasts had a class system. Level 30 small stone spiders, Level 35 stone spiders, Level 40 large stone spiders, Level 50 rubble stone spiders. At this point, there were already Level 60 black stone spiders. Then, would there be Level 70 stone spiders at the end? If there were, then what about Level 80 Tier 9 ones? If there were, then it would be too scary. No wonder even a Class 9 powerhouse died here. The battle between the two sides had already begun. When the warriors and magicians saw that the strongest on their side had finally made a move, they were all overjoyed. It was no wonder that the close encounter with the black stone spiders and the instant death of one of their companions had increased the pressure in their hearts. Now that the Class 7 powerhouses had finally made a move, how could they not be happy? Thus, when the 15 Grade 7 powerhouses clashed with the 10 Grade 7 black stone spiders, these people retreated one after another. They knew that from this moment on, this battle was no longer something they could interfere in. If they rashly rushed forward, they would only be sending themselves to their deaths. A battle between 30 Class 7 powerhouses, what kind of scene was that? For those who didn't know, Wu Yan and the others could tell them that it was no different from a tsunami or an earthquake. At Class 7, one already had the qualifications to be called a powerhouse. Before that, even if one was level 59, one could only be considered a cultivator and not a powerhouse. Why? Of course, it was because the level was different. The difference between the classes was huge, and as the class increased, the gap between the higher classes would also increase. At Class 7, the gap between Class 6 and Class 7 is already very scary. In the Spalier world, Class 1, 3 and 3 are called low class, Class 4, Class 6 are middle class, Class 7, 8 and 9 are high class. From this you can see the gap between Class 6 and Class 7. One is middle class, one is high class. The gap between Class 6 and Class 7 is huge. That's why a battle between high-class powerhouses is enough to shake the foundation of a small place. Just like this battle, looking at this battle, Wu Yan and the others are still okay. After all, the battle between Mikoto and Orochi was already very scary. The cave almost collapsed, and the scene of Ikaros bombarding the stone room was even more shocking. That's why they're already used to this kind of battle. But the treasure hunters weren't so calm. They were all stunned, their eyes were filled with fanaticism and envy. They wished they were the Class 7 powerhouses in this battle. The 10 spiders weren't as cunning as the 15 Class 7 powerhouses. The 15 Class 7 powerhouses used the same method as before. The warriors would go up and fight while the mages would shoot arrows from the back. The spiders had no choice but to roar in anger and fight the warriors in front of them. But they're all Class 7. Even if they're able to suppress the warriors in front of them, they can't do anything to them in a short period of time. There's also the occasional magic attack from the sky. The advantage the spiders had just gained was severely damaged. As the battle went on, the 15 Class 7 powerhouses took out their armament. With the help of the armaments, their strength increased greatly. The spiders were howling in pain. Wu Yan is a bit speechless. None of the Tier 7 combatants in front of him have a rare armament. They're doing pretty well with their common armament. The only bright spot is that they don't just have one common armament on them, they'll change their equipment depending on the situation. But it's not strange. Even though only Class 7 powerhouses have the qualifications to wear a rare armament, they're only qualified. These Class 7 powerhouses are all in their 70s and 80s. They've exhausted their potential and can't advance any further. It's understandable that they don't have a rare armament. Unlike Feifei, who's already a Class 7 in her 20s, she has great potential and a bright future ahead of her. She's also the daughter of the Ailu Empire's #1 family. It's not strange that she has a rare armament. Wu Yen seems to have forgotten that he's an exception. At this moment, the situation on the battlefield changed again. The more they fight, the angrier the spiders get. The pressure on the 15 Class 7 powerhouses multiplied. One of the weaker Class 7 warriors finally couldn't take the pressure anymore and used a battle technique. Like a chain reaction, the rest of the warriors used their own battle techniques, forcing the spiders to retreat. Chapter 91. Since the warriors were using their battle techniques, the mages at the back had no reason to use their weaker spells. They stopped their continuous spells and gathered a large amount of mana. The incantations they were chanting became longer and faster. It seemed that they were planning to use more powerful spells. The battle techniques of the Tier 7 warriors were undoubtedly very powerful, but the black stone spiders weren't weak either. They didn't have any battle techniques or spells. They only had super strong bodies. Therefore, in the face of the attacks of the Tier 7 warriors, they howled in pain, but on the surface they didn't seem to be hurt at all. After being hurt, the black stone spiders became even more violent. They couldn't get close to the mages who were constantly hurting them, nor could they force the warriors who were fighting them to retreat. Therefore, they could only open their mouths and spit out stone awls to attack. The stone awls shot out by the black stone spiders weren't something that the stone spiders from before could compare to. The black stone spiders shot out black stone awls, and perhaps because of their body size, the black stone awls they shot out were extremely thick. The attack power wasn't any weaker than that of battle techniques or spells. The Tier 7 mages naturally wouldn't be shot to death by the stone awls like the weaker mages from before. Although it was a little sudden, they were already prepared. They raised their staffs and a magic shield appeared in front of them, blocking all the stone awls' attacks. Were the stone awls of the black stone spiders that easy to block? The answer was of course not. Although the Tier 7 mages didn't suffer much damage, the magic shields that could normally block 2 or 3 attacks from powerhouses of the same level were now shattered by the stone awls. It was obvious how powerful the stone awls were. After all, it was the only long-range attack of the stone spiders. Naturally, it wasn't weak. Seeing that the black stone spiders were about to continue shooting stone awls, the warriors at the front immediately roared and charged at the closest black stone spiders from different directions. Layers of combat energy appeared on their weapons as they slashed at the black stone spiders. The black stone spiders weren't very intelligent, but they knew how to dodge. In the face of the attack, they could only stop shooting stone awls in their mouths and fight with the warriors angrily again. At this time, one of the mages of the 7th step finally finished chanting a long and urgent incantation. He raised his magic staff and in an instant the temperature in the air rose quite a bit. A huge wave of fire formed and attacked the black stone spiders. At the same time, the warriors of the 7th grade retreated in tacit understanding, arriving in front of the mages. The black stone spiders wanted to chase after them, but the waves of fire forced them back. The black stone spiders could only spit out stone spikes to disperse the waves of fire. The black stone spiders scattered the waves of fire and wanted to continue their pursuit. However, another mage of the 7th step finished his incantation and released a large-scale spell. The ground where the black stone spiders were standing on immediately shook. A few of the spiders seemed to have sensed the danger and loudly cried out. However, this didn't stop anything. A spike suddenly emerged from the ground and cut off a leg of one of the spiders. Then, countless spikes emerged from the ground and stabbed towards the black stone spiders at an incredible speed. The black stone spiders cried out in pain as the spikes mercilessly pierced their bodies. Miraculously, green blood flowed out of their bodies. One had to know that the previous spiders didn't have any blood. The area where the black stone spiders were standing was filled with spikes in just a short while. The black stone spiders were injured and went completely crazy. However, before they could attack, the other mages of the seventh step all stopped their incantations. Several huge bolts of lightning appeared from all directions and blasted towards the black stone spiders. After a few loud bangs, the black stone spiders were heavily injured under the joint attack of the 15 mages. Green blood flowed all over the ground. Under the attack of the spikes and lightning, the black stone spiders lost legs and their flesh was burnt to a crisp. They screamed as if they wanted to leave behind their last cry in this world. Seeing this, how could the warriors not know that this is the best time to beat the black stone spiders up? They all grabbed their armaments and rushed towards the heavily injured black stone spiders and used their battle technique. After a series of attacks, the 10 black stone spiders finally completed their first and last appearance. Their huge bodies fell to the ground and died one after another. Oh! When the treasure hunting team saw that their strongest members had finally killed these powerful monsters, they immediately cheered. They raised the weapons in their hands and excitedly knocked on the ground to express the joy in their hearts. At this moment, their morale has reached its peak. Wu Yan, Shoujo, and Mikoto saw the entire battle with their own eyes. They looked at each other and nodded. Wu Yan was the first to break the silence. He said to the two girls, "These 15 mages of the seventh step aren't weak. 10 black stone spiders of the same rank were killed without any injuries. Although there are factors such as numbers, armaments, and teamwork, it's undeniable that they'll be hard to deal with if they become opponents." Wu Yan couldn't help but raise this question. From the battle just now, he can see that these guys are a bit cold-blooded and heartless. They didn't do anything even when their subordinates were injured. If they find the treasure and make a move, they'll definitely be killed without hesitation. Although Wu Yan already exchanged for items that can guarantee their safety, if possible, Wu Yan really didn't want to use them. Because when that time comes, it means that they're already in a very dangerous situation. Shoujo and Mikoto nodded, agreeing with Wu Yan's words. Including Mikoto, although she's stronger than any of the 15 mages here, if she's surrounded and doesn't use items, her end won't be any better than the dead spiders. Master, hearing Ikaros's voice, Wu Yan and Ko turned their heads towards Ikaros at the same time. With all their gazes on her, Ikaros felt a bit uneasy even though she has the same personality as Ikaros. "Ikaros, did something happen?" Wu Yan's question isn't without reason. Usually, if there's nothing going on, Ikaros will just stay silent like a loyal bodyguard. Ikaros said softly to Wu Yan's group. "There's a very strong life signature approaching." A very strong life signature? Since it was discovered by Ikaros, that means it's not someone who's hiding like them. That means Ikaros's crimson eyes flashed. "There's 3 of them, 2 of them are A's and 1 of them is S." Wu Yan, Shoujo, and Mikoto were shocked. Strength A means that it's on the same level as Ikaros. Something that Ikaros thinks can cause her harm is A. S means that even Ikaros would be threatened by it. Such a character is approaching? How can Wu Yan's group not be shocked? Of course, Wu Yan's situation isn't known to the people who are cheering. Because of this, these people who are still in a state of joy don't know that the last moment of their lives is about to arrive. The 15 stage 7 powerhouses who had been standing there calmly and accepting the crowd's support suddenly felt an aura of death looming over them, causing their bodies to tremble and their expressions to change greatly. "Run!" One of the Type 7 experts could not help but feel the shadow of death looming over him, as he took 2 steps back in shock, shouting hysterically. This voice not only stunned everyone present, but also caused the other Stage 7 powerhouses to tremble. They exchanged glances with each other, struggling in their hearts. The reason why he was struggling was very simple. He had chosen to give up on the treasure and preserve his life, or he felt that this premonition of death was just a trick from the treasure trove. In just a moment they all lost their last chance to save their lives. Chapter 92. The people of the treasure hunting team looked at the 15 seventh order powerhouses and were puzzled. They looked at each other and didn't know what to do. Gradually, the crowd began to stir. The 15 Tier 7 combatants' faces were unsettled, their ears listening to the noise from the crowd. Their hearts were getting restless, but at the same time, they also lost control of their emotions. They didn't know what to do. That aura of death kept coming at them, their hearts started to beat faster and faster. An ominous premonition told them that something terrifying, is approaching. The 15 Tier 7 combatants who were struggling between danger and escape. Soon, they didn't have the heart to think about anything else. The crowd gradually quieted down. No matter what, everyone present was quite accomplished in their cultivation. Even if they couldn't compare to the 15 seventh order powerhouses, at this time, no matter how slow they were, they could feel that the situation was not good. A strange atmosphere started to spread in the crowd. The scene became inexplicably quiet. Even the 15 Tier 7 combatants couldn't help but stop what they were doing, shrouded in this strange atmosphere. Master, a strong life force, it's approaching. Other than Wu Yan's group, no one else could hear Ikaros's words. While the scene was quiet, Wu Yan's group was still in shock. Everyone heard a sound. It was the sound of something being dragged on the ground. Following the sound, Wu Yan, Shoujo, and Mikoto started to get nervous. Some of the people in the crowd started to feel fear, scared by this strange atmosphere, strange aura, and strange sound. The sound is getting closer and closer. Some of the more timid ones already started to tremble. The 15 Tier 7 combatants looked at each other, took out their armaments at the same time, and looked around vigilantly. Their hearts started to beat faster. In the crowd, one of the warriors inadvertently glanced in front, and with that glance, the warrior's eyes widened, and he took 2 steps back in fear. There. The warrior raised his trembling hand and pointed to the front. His voice was filled with fear. The warrior's voice suddenly rang out in the silent arena. It could be said that it was unusually clear. The warrior's voice was filled with fear, and it also raised the strange atmosphere to its peak. The people heard the voice and looked over. The scene that appeared in front of them finally became the last straw that crushed their hearts. 2 incomparably large and ferocious spiders slowly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. They were 10 meters tall, and compared to them, the black stone spiders from before were like children. Of course, if it were just 2 giant stone spiders, they wouldn't be so shocked. These 2 giant spiders weren't stone spiders, but real spiders. Its entire body was covered in black needle-like hair. Its long legs were filled with barbs. On its huge head there was a ferocious face, a pair of strange eyes, and 2 stone pillar-like teeth. Its entire body was filled with deterrence. Looking at the 2 terrifying and ferocious giant spider faces, everyone couldn't help but step back in an attempt to distance themselves from these 2 figures that were like death gods. At this moment, fear had already filled their hearts. Hiss! When the entire body of the spiders appeared in front of everyone, the 2 ferocious giant spiders arched their bodies and opened their mouth. 2 powerful roars came out from their mouths, and a strong wind blew towards the crowd. Giant Spider Guard. Level 70. Even if the people present didn't have the system's magical sensory ability like Wu Yan and the others, from the terrifying aura and the huge size of the spiders, they realized that the 2 terrifying giant spiders in front of them were definitely not something they could deal with. The aura of death had already completely enveloped them. Fear, horror, fear. At this moment, there were no other words that could express their inner feelings better than this. This included the 15 Stage 7 powerhouses, who were still awe-inspiring just a moment ago. The 15 Stage 7 powerhouses were also afraid. They had stronger strength than the others, and they could feel more clearly how strong the 2 monsters in front of them were. That irresistible feeling, when they saw the 2 ferocious giant spiders, had already spread throughout their bodies. Among them, any one of them had the confidence that even if they met a peak Stage 7 powerhouse with a rare armament, they would be able to withstand 2 moves. But now, the two monsters in front of them gave them an irresistible feeling of fear. Then, there was only one explanation: Stage 8. Run! No one knew better than them how terrifying a Stage 8 was. Because they were only one stage away from a Stage 8, they knew that if they went up against a Stage 8, even if there were 15 of them, they would only be able to drag out the time of death by a little. In the end, only death would await them. Thus, without hesitation, they used their fastest speed to turn around and run away. Of course, it was all in vain. Almost at the same time when they turned around, a group of stone owls shot towards the 15 Stage 7 powerhouses at a speed faster than anyone could react. When the 15 Stage 7 powerhouses turned around, it just so happened that their backs were exposed to the soul-snatching envoys. Ah! Ah! The stone owls mercilessly pierced through their skin, piercing through their bodies, piercing through their organs and bringing them to their death. In just a short while, the 15 Stage 7 powerhouses were all dead. It was a pity for them. If they had been able to resist for a while, they might have been able to find a sliver of a chance to survive. Unfortunately, they had chosen the stupidest choice. Everyone present cried out in fear at the same time. None of them intended to resist. Even the strongest 15 7th-order powerhouses among them had been wiped out in an instant. How could they resist by themselves? Thus, everyone present followed the 15 Stage 7 powerhouses and chose the stupidest path. At the same time, everyone turned around and fled as if their lives depended on it. The two giant spider guards were more than happy to shoot live targets. Stone spikes fell from the sky, shooting down those who were a little slower. Screams, for a moment, spread out in this space. Only the screams of fear and the screams of death spread out in this spacious stone ground. Shoujo and Mikoto closed their eyes at the same time when the massacre started. Even with their stubborn personalities, they couldn't bear to watch any longer. They lowered their heads and buried themselves in Wu Yan's arms. Wu Yan also bitterly smiled. Just a moment ago, they sacrificed their comrades to obtain victory. They were even cheering and jumping for joy. But in a blink of an eye, they accompanied their cannon fodder to the underworld. Have to say, this is a bit ironic, but Wu Yan also knows that this is just the beginning. With just these two level 70 spider guards and Ikaros' strength, Wu Yan doesn't need to be afraid of them. What really made his heart clench was the S-class lifeform reaction that Ikaros mentioned. Under the stone awls of the two giant spider guards, people fell to the ground and died. Their bodies were pierced by the stone awls, but the two giant spider guards were not satisfied. They continued to shoot stone awls at the densest areas of the crowd. After a series of random shooting, close to 90% of the people fell to the ground and shed their last drop of blood. Perhaps it was because there were too many people, so the two giant spider guards couldn't take care of a portion of them. The group of people who ran the fastest had already left the giant spider guards' shooting range and escaped in all directions. Hearing the sound of the stone awls behind them stopping, this group of people couldn't help but feel happy. Feeling that there's hope for survival, they quickly increased their pace and ran towards the other side of the stone path. Just as the spider escorts were about to give chase, Wu Yan saw them suddenly stop, and then they stopped in their tracks.